Morning, everybody. As you notice, I am dressed in black and white for the Sox. And my understanding is also that we're going to try to be as efficient as we can. I know a lot of people would like to do some afternoon activities at guaranteed rate. So let's start with the October 12th, 2021 Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards is called to order. Pursuant to applicable law, the chairman has determined that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent. Accordingly, attendance at this meeting will be by remote means only. We will start with the roll call. Committee members, please unmute yourself and please note that your yes or present response will be determined to be a yes vote when this quorum roll call is used as a reference vote for later items. We will start with Vice Chair Raboyes.
Present.
Alderman Hopkins.
Present.
Alderman Dowell.
Here.
Alderman Sawyer. Alderman Beal.
Yep.
Alderman Lopez, original.
Sox in 5, baby.
Good luck. Alderman David Moore. Alderman Mike Rodriguez.
Present. Go Sox.
Okay, Alderman Cicho Lopez.
Present.
Alderman Burnett.
Present.
Alderman Cardona.
Present.
Alderman Wagisvac.
Present.
Alderman Austin. Alderman Villegas. Alderman Riley. Alderman Kappelman.
Present.
Alderman Osterman. Alderman Haddon. And myself, Chairman Tunney. We have 12. We have a quorum. All right. We'll now move on to the approval of the Rule 45 reports containing the minutes of the September 2021 hearing of the Committee on Zoning, Landmark, and Building Standards. All members of this committee should have received a copy of this report electronically. And if hearing no objection, do I have a motion by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum to approve the minutes?
Move to
Alderman
pass,
Hopkins,
Chairman.
so moved.
Alderman Hopkins makes the motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing no objections, the report has been approved. Moving on, we will now hear the items to be deferred. I will read the ward, the file number, the address, and page number, and take a motion for all at the end. Committee members, please note that some items will not appear on the revised agenda that is before you and were sent separately in your packet.
You on mute, Alderman.
Good, okay. Say it again. Well, first of all, what about Irvin?
He's probably talking about the Cubs.
John Cusack.
Okay, all right. So, ready to go? On page 2 of the regular agenda in the 25th Ward, file number A8716 for the address commonly known as 1801 through 1809 South Allport. On page 3 of the regular agenda in the 2nd Ward, file number 20841 for the address commonly known as 1690 North Elston Avenue. On page 4 of the regular agenda in the 3rd Ward, file number 20811 for the address commonly known as 2542 through 58 South Federal Street, 100 through 108 West 26th Street. On page 9 of the regular agenda in the 27th Ward, for the address commonly known as 1521 through 1525 North Elston Avenue. Referencing what I previously stated, the following items do appear on the revised agenda. On page 3 of the revised agenda and page 4 of the regular agenda in the 2nd Ward, file number 20814 for the address commonly known as 2258 through 2276 North Clybourne Avenue. On page 6 of the revised agenda and page 7 of the regular agenda, in the 17th ward, file number 20819, for the address commonly known as 1414 through 1416 West 69th Street. On page 9 of the revised agenda and page 12 of the regular agenda, in the 33rd ward, file number 20810, for the address commonly known as 2837 through 2843 West Belmont Avenue. On page 10 of the revised agenda and page 9 of the regular agenda, in the 25th ward, file number 20818 T1, for the address commonly known as 2018 West 21st Place. On page 15 of the revised agenda and page 14 of the regular agenda, in the 44th ward, file number 20813, for the address commonly known as 524 through 628 West Diversey Parkway, 2801 through 2807 North Broadway. On page 16 of the revised agenda and page 17 of the deferred agenda, in the 2nd ward, file number 20810, for the address commonly known as 1400 North Paulina Street. If there are no questions by committee members, Alderman Lopez makes a motion to defer these previously listed items by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing no objections, these items have been deferred. Now we'll move on to the public comment period. We have 2 public speakers signed up for today's hearing, and we will hear.
Alderman Henry, raise your hand.
I'm sorry. Alderman Haddon, you wish to be recognized?
Yes, please. Chairman, just want to be recognized for the role.
You will, and for the quorum. All right, 2 public speakers. We'll hear from them now. First person is Jones Richmond.
Jones Richmond, please press *6 on your phone to unmute. *6, there you go.
Hello, this is Jones Richmond.
All right, Mr. Richmond, your public comment period begins with you, so commence.
Okay, my name is Jones Richmond. I've been a plumber for over 32 years. I was an inspector in the city of Chicago for 12 of those years. I have installed and inspected plumbing systems over my career. This new plumbing code addresses affordable housing in the south and west side of Chicago. It also helps single-family homeowners, as well as builders that involved in building and rehabbing mixed-use structures. While this change in the plumbing code are substantial, we feel it keeps the integrity of the plumbing system to help protect the health of the nation while addressing the affordable housing crisis in the city of Chicago. I would like to thank Chicago Building Department, Commissioner Matt O'Day, especially Marlene Hosty, for her tireless effort working with the mayor office, the unions, and the experts in the plumbing industry to achieve the goal to keep the city of Chicago safe. I would like to thank the mayor office, the member of this committee, to allow me to speak today. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Richmond, and thank you for your service to the city for these many years. Our next speaker is Deirdre Graziano.
Deirdre Graziano, please press *6 on your phone to unmute.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good morning, Chicago City Council. My name is Deirdre Graziano. Go Sox. But I'm here today to talk on behalf of the Lincoln Central Association and the Lincoln Park community. Lincoln Central Association and Ranch Association have worked years to get to this point in history. The landmark of the Hofstede Willow Group is a culmination of years of community effort throughout Lincoln Park. Landmark Illinois and Preservation Chicago have stood behind us throughout these years. We fought off the teardown of the old Chilean building, knowing once it came down, there would be a domino effect and we would lose all of the Hofstede Willow Group. The Hofstede Willow Group contains Victorian Romanesque and Italianate buildings of high integrity. This collection of buildings hold many stories of Lincoln Park's immigrant history. German and Bosnian communities found comfort in this active pedestrian commercial district. Chicago's magic history began here at Chileans, and to this day, magicians around the world pay tribute to that history. The Willow Room building held Chicago's first Bosnian mosque in what was once a German social hall. Our community is losing much of its city stories and its architectural history, but this collection of buildings stand tall as a gateway to the Sheffield Historic District. The buildings are loved by our community, which has spent years to finally get to this point where preservation will secure our history and some of our important Chicago stories. Thank you in advance for your consideration of this landmarking, and we hope that you will support and vote this in. Go again, use the White Sox. Thanks again.
Thank you, Deirdre. Our next speaker is Jim Majerovich.
All right.
Hi, Jim.
How we doing, young man?
Thank you. That'll get you a lot of gold star with me. So
we're
let's
about
talk
to
about the
finish.
plumbing code. I know that's what you want to talk about.
Yes, sir. All right, Tom. My name is Jim Majerowitz. I've been involved with plumbing since 1978. I'm a lifelong city resident. I'm a member of Plumbers Local 130 with the position of training director. I'm also a plumbing engineer, green plumbing designer. All right. So we're in our 150th anniversary of our Great Chicago Fire. And I don't mean that in good terms, it's bad terms. But the good that came out of that is with the building department and changing codes in the city to non-combustible materials. And we haven't had another fire like that because of the great work of the building department working with non-combustible materials. This protects public safety and health by using non-combustible materials. The building department has worked with us, and we have kept in commercial use non-combustible materials. And to continue to work with this, we'd like to see that local plumbing experts continue on to work with the building department to keep a good, strong building code to protect the public safety of the citizens and the visitors of Chicago. Thank you, committee members.
Thank you, Jim, for, again, longstanding service to the not only Lakeview community, but to the city and the Plumbers Union. Good luck to you. All right. That concludes the public speaking portion of the hearing. I saw Alderman Michelle Smith hand up. Michelle, did you have a?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to be recognized for the role.
Thank you very much. I know we've got an item or two on the agenda, but it'll be a little bit later in the meeting. All right. We're going to start with the addendum to the agenda. We have one mayoral appointment. That is A 2021-158, the appointment of Carlos Pinheiro. Is that right, staff? Okay. As member of the Chicago Planning Commission. Everyone should have received a copy of his resume electronically, and we have Mr. Pinheiro here if he would like to say a few words and answer any questions. Carlos.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you, Chairman Tony, and members of the committee for the opportunity to speak to you today. For the record, my name is Carlos Pinheiro. I'm honored to have been nominated to the Plan Commission. I recognize the importance of the commission, the role that the commission has in the growth and economic development of the city of Chicago. As a matter of background, I have an engineering degree and a master's degree in finance. Over the last 20 years, my career has been focused in finance. I'm currently a managing director at RBC Capital Markets in our Chicago office. And I hope to have an opportunity to work with the commission, the administration, and city council to contribute to the growth and development of the city.
Thank you. Thank you, Carlos. Do we have any questions from committee members? I see my vice chair, Alderman Raboyes.
Thank you, Chairman. I too am in full support of Carlos Pinheiro. I've known him for years. This is an excellent appointment by the mayor, and I hope my colleagues support. He's got a wealth of information, a lot of knowledge, and we could use this in planning development. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ariel. Other questions? Well, Carlos, I look forward to working with you as a member of the Plan Commission. I think you bring some unique expertise to the commission. I know we've had a lot of architects. It's nice to have an engineer and somebody who knows how to provide the investment in the entire city, in addition to the mayor's agenda on the south and west side. Alderman, any more questions? All right, then, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Raboyes makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the appointment is passed. Congratulations. Look
Thank
forward
you,
to seeing
Chairman.
They're long
Thank you.
meetings, by the way, just so make sure you block out your day. So,
I've heard. Yeah, thank you.
all right. Staying on the addendum, we have one text amendment, document number 02021-4134. Amendment of Municipal Code, Chapter 18-29, Articles 1 through 15, regarding plumbing provisions. Committee members should have received a copy of the ordinance as well as a summary of the ordinance electronically. I think we have a one pager. Is that correct? One and a quarter. Okay, so let's see. We're gonna have Matt Baudet on this, please. Commissioner.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So good morning, Chairman Tunney and members of the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks and Building Standards. My name is Matt Baudet and I'm the Commissioner for the Department of Buildings. With me today are First Deputy Commissioner Marlene Hopkins and Managing Deputy Commissioner Grant Ulrich. I'm here today to ask for your favorable consideration for Mayor Lightfoot's ordinance making interim amendments to the plumbing related provisions of the code. Like the interim plumbing mechanical related amendments to the code passed last month by this committee and council, these interim plumbing related provisions are intended to assist homeowners and businesses as we recover from the pandemic. We're grateful to our partners in the industry and the trade for working with us on these interim measures and look forward to working with stakeholders to develop further ordinance to modernize the Chicago construction codes for your consideration in 2022. I would especially like to thank Local 130, Jim Coyne, Jim Majerowitz, and Jones Richmond for their invaluable input on these amendments and for look forward to working with them in the future as well. I believe all of you received the one-page summary highlighting the major topics addressing this ordinance. I'd like to highlight a few of those for you this morning. First, the ordinance adopts provisions for gender-neutral restrooms. These changes help create restrooms that are more usable and welcoming, not just to transgender people, but to everybody. For example, a parent who doesn't want to send their child into an opposite gender restroom alone, or an elderly person who needs assistance from an opposite gender caretaker. Single-user toilet rooms, a restroom with a single toilet and sink. This ordinance updates our plumbing code consistent with recent changes in the Illinois law to require gender-neutral signage. This ordinance clarifies that single-user toilet rooms can be used to provide required toilet facilities, either in combination with or in place of a male or female multi-stall restroom. The ordinance allows all gender restrooms with multiple private stalls and shared sinks. This option includes requirements to ensure safety and privacy for all users. These changes were developed based on the latest national model plumbing codes and extensive conversation with stakeholders such as Restroom Access Project, Equity Illinois, and the Illinois Restaurant Association, several of our large colleges and universities, and other advocates and business groups. Second, as Mr. Majerowitz and Mr. Jones mentioned, or Mr. Richmond mentioned, sorry, the ordinance expands the allowed use of PVC plastic drain, waste, and vent piping. In the current code, PVC drain pipe is limited to above ground use entirely in residential buildings up to 3 stories in heights. This ordinance will allow PVC drain pipe for residential portions of buildings, including mixed-use buildings, up to 60 feet in building height, which is approximately 5 stories. This ordinance will also allow PVC for residential use underground. These expanded options for residential use will be a tremendous asset to homeowners seeking to stay in their homes and for multifamily residents, especially for affordable housing. Third, this ordinance will allow small storefront businesses, including restaurants, with a capacity of 30 people or less, to provide one single user restroom. This will help tremendously as businesses emerge from the pandemic and new businesses seek to open in your commercial quarters and neighborhoods. By reducing the amount of floor space required to be set aside for restrooms, it increases the amount of floor space that can be used for business activities. For example, in a small restaurant, there might be room for an additional 2-seat table. For larger restaurants and businesses required to provide additional restroom facilities, the gender-neutral restroom provision in this ordinance provides other alternatives to reduce floor space and use floor space to generate revenue. Fourth, this ordinance makes additional changes to bring our plumbing code up to the latest technical standards and better align with the new building code this council adopted in 2019. This includes changes to clarify requirements for water safety, water conserving plumbing fixtures, and swimming pool designs. Finally, the Department of Buildings is pleased to work with our partner, the Department of Water Management, with permitting for lead service replacement. In 2020, the council authorized a permit fee waiver worth up to $3,100 for homeowners voluntarily replacing an existing lead line service. In the first year, we've had approximately 20 homeowners take advantage of the fee waiver. We hope to see many more next year and as word spreads about the program. This ordinance will expand eligibility for fee waivers to also allow nonprofit entities such as churches to benefit from the permit fee waiver. Thank you for your time, and I ask for your favorable consideration, and we are happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have questions. Obviously, we heard from the Plumbers Union with their support. I'm going to start out with a question or so, Matt. Matt, we talked about affordable housing as a real plus with this change. So in a mixed use facility where there's commercial on the ground floor, that has to be copper and whatever, but you said below grade, which is where the residential portion, that can all be PVC?
It could be PVC if it's an entirely residential use. So for instance, what you mentioned is the usual storefront with the apartments above.
Correct.
And that is, since the storefront itself would have to be cast iron still, and the undergrounds, which would be servicing a non-residential use, would also have to be cast iron.
But the underground servicing the residential, and I'm not a plumber, but don't you need below grade even to service the apartments?
Yeah.
And that could be PVC.
It can be if it's separated completely from the commercial use.
Okay. All right.
But if they're both using the same, then it would be cast iron.
Okay. All right. And talk to me a little bit about the drinking water and water lines. Could you restate that?
Oh, so the water lines are still copper. So PVC is only for drain and waste.
Okay. So when you say strengthen and clarify requirements to protect drinking water.
So I'd ask Grant Albert to chime in on that. There are some provisions that we made.
Yeah, so again, it is retaining our long-standing requirement for copper piping for drinking water. Some other places allow other materials, and in consultation with industry groups and the Department of Water Management, that wasn't something we wanted to pursue here. There is some language in our code that lines up with federal law, but it was a little unclear. There were some typos in it. So we wanted to clean that up, bring that into line with language in the Illinois Plumbing Code, matching those lead-free standards in federal law.
All right. Alderman Kappelman has his hand up.
Thank you, Chairman Tunney. I just want to come out in full support of this. We all know that the cost of housing is skyrocketing, so anything that we can do to bring down those costs are certainly something that we should pursue. I also have a very small restaurant that really needed this gender neutral bathroom. So it really helped them out. And for those of us who identify as non-binary, this is also extremely supportive of who they are too as well. So all the way around, this is an incredible ordinance. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you, Alderman. I don't see other hands up. Okay. So,
sorry, Chairman. I'd also really need to recognize Marlene Hopkins and Grant Albert for their work on this and getting this entire package put together.
Thank you to your team. Just off the record, we have a new, hopefully we'll have a new Midwest administrator and EPA that might be working very closely with the building code and water issues. Deborah Shore.
Looking forward to
More
it.
excited about that.
Yes.
All right, are there further questions by committee members? There are no questions. Do I hear a motion move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved.
Alderman Cardona.
Alderman Kappelman makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Moving on, we have 3 historical landmark designations on the addendum today. First up, 02021-3928 in the 4th Ward, the historical landmark designation for the Muddy Waters House located at 4339 South Lake Park Avenue. We have Candlin Hahn here from the Historic Preservation of the Department of Planning and Development to present this matter. Ms. Hahn.
How about that? Can you hear me?
We're ready.
Okay, great. So the 2 flat at 4339 South Lake Park Avenue was built in 1891 and served as the home of blues musician Muddy Waters from 1954 to 1973. The hospitality extended to Chicago musicians, and musicians who came to record or perform in the city made the home an unofficial center for the Chicago blues community. The home is located in the 4th Ward in the Kenwood community area. In the early 1950s, this meant that it was close to the city's concentration of record distributors and independent record companies like Chess Records, as well as the blues clubs of the South Side, making it a natural gathering place for other blues musicians. Waters, born in rural Mississippi, had come to Chicago in 1947 during the Great Migration, like millions of other African Americans who left their homes to flee the Jim Crow South and to find better opportunities in the urban centers of the Midwest, West, and Northeastern US. Considered by many to be the father of Chicago blues, Waters skillfully married the raw acoustic Delta blues of Mississippi with amplification to create a powerful new urban sound that could be heard in the loudest of Chicago's nightclubs and which would send the heartbeat of America's culture around the world. Waters recorded with Chicago's Chess Records from 1947 through 1975. This work produced 16 Billboard R&B hit singles and 2 of Waters' 6 Billboard Top 200 albums. Throughout this time, he was a fixture of Chicago's blues scenes, holding residencies with his band at clubs around the city. It was during these same years that Muddy Waters offered hospitality out of 4339 South Lake Park Avenue, pictured here. Musicians were welcomed at all hours. Not only food and drink, but lodging was also offered to traveling musicians like Howlin' Wolf and Chuck Berry. Band members, including Otis Spann and James Cotton, lived in second-floor apartments. Rehearsals were held in the basement and would spill outside to the yard on warm days. The music of Waters and other Chicago blues masters first made the charts with their African American audience, but this audience would diversify and expand across the Atlantic by the late 50s and 60s. Picked up by young performers, their blues influenced the sound of rock and roll as it emerged, as acknowledged by rock legends like Chuck Berry, Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, and countless others. Waters' music won 6 Grammys, and he was posthumously awarded the Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award and inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The story of Muddy Waters informs us of the history of the nation at large, and Chicago in particular, in the latter half of the 20th century. Chicago shaped his music, and he made Chicago synonymous with the blues. Waters' home at 4339 South Lake Park was at the center of this cultural shift. The current owner of the home, Muddy Waters' great-granddaughter, Chandra Cooper, has requested this designation, and she is with us today if you have any questions for her. Alderman Sophia King has provided a letter of support. On behalf of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks, we request your favorable consideration of this individual landmark designation. Thank you.
Are we having Prentice Butler from the 4th Ward speak on this?
Chairman Alderman King will be on just a moment to speak.
Okay, we'd rather hear from the Alderwoman. No, nothing personal.
I understand.
Okay. Alderman Alderman King, you're on the Muddy
Yeah,
Waters.
hi, Chairman. You guys had me in the waiting room. I was listening though.
Okay,
I've been there for the last 10 minutes, but no, thank you. I am honored to be here today to speak on behalf of the Muddy Waters Museum in North Kenwood, Oakland. This is something, you know, that we've been talking about for some time now. And I'm happy to add to the accolades for this particular museum. I think that due to the history that Muddy Waters has provided all of the, excuse me, one quick second. Let me turn this off. I'm sorry. That Muddy Waters, you know, has been a huge contributor to the blues, to rock and roll, and that having this his particular home landmarked here in the city of Chicago would also be not only, you know, something that recognizes his contributions, but will also recognize the contributions of the blues to Chicago. And so, you know, I wholeheartedly recommend this and ask my colleagues to approve landmark status for the Muddy Waters Museum.
questions for the department or the Alderwoman? I do not see hands up. Alderman Riley, do you wish to be recognized for the quorum, or do you want to speak on the museum?
Think something extraordinary.
Just want to be,
Okay, so you recognized for quorum. All right.
just want to be recognized for quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Dowell.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to congratulate my colleague, Alderman King, for moving forward with this designation, and to thank Candlin for her work. But this is a very important designation within the Bronzeville community, and I know Alderman King has been working on this for some time. The community really looks forward to this. At 43rd Street was a blues district back in the day, where the Checkerboard Lounge was also located, where Muddy Waters played with Mick Jagger and others. So just wanted to congratulate the alderman. This is a significant accomplishment. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Dowell.
Thank you.
And Alderwoman Sophia King. I just want to chime in, Alderman Dowell, if you remember correctly, I think you and I met about the Bronzeville Entertainment District when neither of us were aldermen. So it goes way back, if I'm not mistaken, when you were with the Department of Planning and I was on the Economic Development Commission. Is that correct, Pat?
That's accurate. We've been trying to uplift our history in that community for a very long time. So
Well,
this is great to see
congratulations.
Alderman King take it to the finish line.
Yep. Thank you, Alderwoman King. And I don't see any hands up. So Alderman Dowell moves to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you both. Next is document number, thank you. Next is document number 02021-3830 in the 11th Ward, the historical landmark designation for the Monastery of the Holy Cross Building located at 3101 through 3111 South Aberdeen Street. Again, we have Ms. Hahn from the Historic Preservation Division of the Department of Planning and Development to present this matter. Candlin.
Thank you again, Chairman Tunney. Staff, we are here today with a proposed ordinance for the landmark designation of the Monastery of the Holy Cross, formerly the Immaculate Conception Catholic Church. The monastery is a significant neighborhood religious complex that served the Bridgeport community area. Since 1909, it has served the Bridgeport community area since 1909. It was built by the German Catholic parish and served as a church until 1990. In 1991, it became the home of the monastery of the Holy Cross, a Roman Catholic Benedictine monastery. In 2018, Father Peter Funk of the monastery requested landmark designation. The Monastery of the Holy Cross is located on Chicago's near southwest side in the 11th Ward. The church and adjoining rectory building, here shown in black, are at the southeast corner of Aberdeen and 31st Street. In August of 2021, the Commission on Chicago Landmarks found that the building, which consists of this original church structure and adjoining rectory, met 3 criteria for designation, including those for heritage, architecture, and architect. Alderman Patrick Thompson has expressed his support of the proposed designation. The monastery has consented to the designation, and I know that Father Peter Funk was hoping to join this morning. Finally, DPD would like to thank Preservation Chicago, who contributed significantly to the report. On behalf of the Commission on Chicago Landmarks, the Department of Planning and Development respectfully requests your consideration of the proposed designation of landmark designation of the Monastery of the Holy Cross. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwendolyn. I'm not sure we have Peter from the monastery on the call. Nope. Okay.
I know he had wanted to join and I had sent an email. I didn't know if he was able to join.
We don't have him, so
apologies.
No problem. It was an interesting report. Now, you have the rectory and the church.
Yes,
and
that's correct.
the monastery is being used by both. Is it a residence on both? I mean, obviously the rectory was a residence.
Yes, it is in current use. They have a small, I don't know if you can see my arrow here, but they own the property along here. It includes a vacant lot, a non-historic building, et cetera. And the monastery is open to the public. In fact, I've been told that they even have a B&B in case you wanted to stay in Bridgeport. They have a room available in both the rectory and I believe in the main building, the church building as well.
Well, that would be an interesting experience. But they also own that one non-contributing building on the map?
Yes, that's correct.
And there's no redevelopment plans to stay the way it is?
No, there are no plans currently.
Okay. All right. Okay. Gil, Alderman Villegas has his hand up. Gil?
Chairman, thank you. I just wanted to be recognized for quorum. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Sounds like a great project. Obviously, 100 years of serving, more than 110 serving the community in some religious capacity. So I don't have any more questions. Do I have a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved by Alderman Cardona.
Alderman Cardona makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? No objections. The item is passed. Thank you. All right. Now we are on item number 02021 -3581 in the 43rd and 2nd wards, the historical landmark designation for the Halsted Willow group of 4 buildings located at 1800 North Halsted, 1732 North Halsted, 17-27 through 29 North Halsted, and 1733 North Halsted. Again, we have Ms. Hahn here from the Historic Preservation of the Department of Planning and Development to present the matter. We had a public speaker, number 2, I think her name was Deirdre, in support of this. No, we have the alderpersons on the call. This is a very famous intersection of Halsted Willow. Ms. Hahn, would you present?
Yes, thank you very much. So the Department of Planning and Development, on behalf of the Commission of Chicago Landmarks, has submitted a landmark designation ordinance for the Halsted Willow group of 4 buildings located, as you heard, at approximately 1800 North Halsted Street. The subject buildings are located in the southwestern portion of Lincoln Park at North Halsted and Willow, shown here with the red star. The group of buildings are outlined in red in the map at the upper right. At the northwest corner is 1800 North Halsted. At the southwest corner is 1732 North Halsted, and side by side on the southeast corner are 1733 and 1727 to 29 North Halsted. These buildings date from the 1880s and were built with ground floor commercial space and upper floors for residential use. Their outstanding integrity and proximity create a rare grouping that have denoted this highly localized node of activity for nearly 140 years. This proposed landmark designation has been a community-driven effort of several years involving the Lincoln Central Association, Ranch Triangle Association, Landmarks Illinois, and countless other individual residents and stakeholders. Alderman Smith and Alderman Hopkins are both in support of this designation, and the Commission on Chicago Landmarks found that the structures meet the heritage, architecture, and thematic criteria for designation and have recommended to City Council that they be designated Chicago landmarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. I will start with our committee member, Alderman Hopkins. Would you like to speak before we hear from Alderwoman Michelle Smith?
I would, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This is a culmination of a very long effort. It wasn't easy, but I think we all agree it is worth it to finally get this across the finish line. You know, this is just a remarkable culmination of a community-led effort. Predates my taking office as alderman. I became aware of this, you know, before I even assumed this office. And it just, the accolades go to the neighborhood association, Lincoln Central, and the others that were involved in this. Just did an outstanding job. These buildings are so worth saving. It is such an important part of the history of the north side of Chicago. As a matter of fact, I'm having a birthday party for my child turning 6, and we've hired a magician. And when he found out that I was part of the effort to landmark the building, or the stories that I heard. So it is well known in the community of magic performers. And it's such a great part of our history and such a feel-good story all around. So congratulations to everyone, and to my colleague Alderman Smith, who's been instrumental in this. She has about 75% of it. I just have about 25% of it. But nevertheless, my support is 100% behind everyone. So congratulations all on a job well done.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Michelle Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your statement that this is a famous corner. It is a famous corner. It was originally set aside. Several of these buildings were saved by Arthur Rubloff himself in beginning to do some of the redevelopment of Lincoln Park that occurred in the late 60s and early 70s and throughout the 80s. And so they were saved because people have always recognized that one of the hallmarks of the Lincoln Park community is its historic structures. So the fact that the buildings on these corners have been preserved up until this time, it really is the gateway to this part of Lincoln Park. And I want to recognize the incredible effort. I've been working on this since 2013, and other people in the community have really been working on it even longer. And I really want to thank our speaker today, Deirdre Graziano herself, who's a member of that mighty band, as well as several others from our community. It wouldn't have happened without the incredible hard work of Landmarks Illinois, the late, great Terry Tatum, who helped us, and so many people in the community. We're so proud and would like to ask everyone's support. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderpersons, both of you, on this preservation effort and to the department. Any questions, comments? All right. I don't see hands up. Alderman Hopkins makes the motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? All right, hearing none, the item is passed. Congratulations to all.
Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you.
All right, now, fee waiver, okay. All right, moving on, we have one request for a fee waiver for historical landmark property in the 4th Ward, located at 523 through 529 South Plymouth Court. Do I hear a motion to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum on the fee waiver? Alderman Hopkins makes the motion to move to pass. Any objections? The item is passed. Hearing none. All right. Now we're moving on to large signs over 100 square feet in area, 24 feet above grade. We will hear them all together. I'll read the ward followed by the address and take a motion at the end. 2 signs in the 4th ward located at 4720 South Cottage Grove Avenue. 1 sign in the 8th ward located at 9241 South Stony Island. 1 sign in the 11th ward located at 3000 South Halsted. 1 sign in the 22nd ward located at 3501 South Pulaski. 1 sign in the 27th ward located at 100 South Halsted. 1 sign in the 28th ward located at 2551 West Cermak Road. 1 sign in the 38th ward located at 5333 West Irving Park Road. And 1 sign in the 41st ward at 7220 West Foster Avenue. 2 signs in the 42nd ward at 444 North Wabash Avenue. And 1 sign in the 44th ward at 2844 North Broadway. Lastly, 2 signs in the 45th ward located at 4211 North Cicero Avenue. Any questions by committee members? I have a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum.
Move to pass, Alderman Wagisback.
Alderman Wagisback makes the motion, move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, these orders are passed. Okay, Alderman Osterman, you wish to be recognized for the quorum?
Please add me to the quorum.
Thank you, Harry. All right, now we'll move on to the regular agenda in an effort to minimize technical difficulties and to ensure the committee meeting runs as smoothly as possible. The typical order in which items will be heard has been updated. Throughout the duration of virtual committee on zoning meetings, items will be grouped together according to witness, attorney, and will be heard in that order rather than the typical ward order.
Don't have Alderman
All right.
Irvin or Alderman Garza on, so let's go to Alderman.
Okay, so we're on page 1. All right, so we do not, in attendance at this time, we do not have Alderwoman Susan Sedlowski Garza. And we do not have Alderman Burnett, or not, we do have Burnett, but we don't have Irvin, who's the lead on the second aldermanic. We will reach, once they get on, we will go back to them. But now we are on the bottom of page
9.
9. I'm sorry. We're going to move out of the order, take care of item in Alderman Cardenas's ward. That's document, bottom of page 9, folks. Document number 20829 T1 12th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 3900 South Western Avenue. Change request B31 Community Shopping District to C21 Motor Vehicle Related Commercial District. Amy Curson from Ray's Curson. Amy, would you like to present this? Amy, the floor is yours.
Hi, good morning, Chairman. Thank you so much. I apologize for the delay. Thank you to the panel and especially to Alderman Irvin and Alderman Burnett for
whoa. Amy, we're not on that item because Alderman Irvin is not on the call. We are in the 12th Ward, document number 20829 T1, Alderman Cardenas.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
3900 Southwestern.
Thank you, Chairman. In this case, we very much appreciate that Alderman Cardenas has endorsed changing the zoning of this property from B3 to a C2 to assist Enterprise Rent-A-Truck in establishing a truck rental facility. Their plan is to rent trucks on a business-to-business basis to support small businesses that are in the general area, including in the stockyards, PMD. It's necessary to have the C2 zoning to allow the rental of both box trucks and delivery vans because they're in different weight classifications. So This is simply to establish a truck rental company.
Alderman Cardenas on the Southwestern application, please. We have a letter.
I believe that he did submit a letter of support, Chairman, in August.
All right, let's. Have we?
Sorry about that. I just got your, I'm multitasking.
All right, well, you're on 3900 Southwestern.
Well, thank you, Chairman. This is a property that's currently abandoned, a nuisance to the community. We'd like to repurpose it so that enterprise can, avail themselves to the community. It's changing. This is targeting a lot of the industrial base that's kind of being revived there in the Southwest sector. And we are welcoming them to the community in McKinley Park, Brighton Park. And so I wholeheartedly am in favor of this rezoning to accommodate their request so they can lease out a larger box of a rental that they like to put out. And so that's the purpose of the rezoning.
All right, so we have questions for the attorney or the alderman. Have the expansion of an existing use, right, Alderman Cardenas?
Correct.
All right. All right. No questions by committee members. Do I hear a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that we should determine quorum?
Hands up.
Who is that? Alderman Ray Lopez?
Yeah, hands up.
All right. Alderman Lopez moves to pass. Any objections?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. Raymond, Alderman Lopez has a question.
Thank you, Chairman. Appreciate that. Is this the nightclub property on the corner of 39th and Western?
That is correct.
So I'm very familiar with this intersection. It's 3 blocks from my house. Where's the traffic going? Because that's a very difficult intersection, particularly under that viaduct with all of the cross traffic on Western.
I can answer that, Chairman, or the attorney can answer that. There's 2 exits and entrances on Pershing. There's an entrance and exit on Pershing as well as Western Avenue. So, there's that option for trucks to exit on Western Avenue, which is the proper, instead of flagging Pershing, which is for the most part intense when it comes to east-west traffic.
So the exit will be just south of the bus stop?
I believe there's an exit. I believe that the folks here that said, like I said, the attorneys can add to that. I had proposed that they could exit off of Western as well, so that traffic could be eased on the Pershing side.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Alderman.
So traffic onto Western will be north-south directional?
It'll be onto Western Avenue, Alderman.
In which direction? Both, north and south?
I believe at that location, there's a divider that would require the traffic to turn right, but just bear with me one moment.
That would make sense. Turning right, you got to flow into traffic on Western Avenue as those lanes are southbound.
So Raymond, you're familiar with the intersection. The attorney says there's a median that might prevent them going north and just southbound only.
Well, I know what I heard, Chairman, and I'm waiting for the clarification because I know it would make sense that they only go southbound.
Bear with me, Alderman. I'll pull it up and show you
There are
the site
obviously,
plan.
it's a 4 lanes. One lane is used for and southbound, and the other lane is northbound. So the natural flow of that is for trucks to go southbound on Western Avenue.
Alderman Lopez, the plan, which I'm trying to show here on screen, is that trucks would be able to enter and exit on both Western and Pershing. We're happy to come by and talk with you about the structure of the site plan if you'd find that helpful.
Well, my concern, Chairman, is that I know that that is a very tight intersection. It's a very busy intersection. And unless there is a traffic study that we're not privy to or discussing, all of that extra traffic coming out onto Western, which even though you say it's supposed to go, it should go south. But if it's not required to go south, that means there will be people going north 50 feet from the intersection, trying to cut in front of everybody.
Well, this is not, well, here, just, this is not a distribution center. It's a truck depot. It's a small box depot for basically rentals that are going to be accommodating the extra demand that's on the southwest sector, but it is not a distribution where hundreds of trucks will be going onto the street every minute. It is going to be intermittent. If people rent the vehicle, they're going to go pick it up at that site. They could also end up picking up another site, but we're not talking about hundreds of vehicles here. Maybe a few a day, maybe 10 a day or something like that.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Alderman Cardenas. The anticipated rental levels are going to be relatively modest. We're expecting no more than, I think, 40 rentals, even on a busy day. Also, Alderman Lopez, I'd like to point out that the plan here is for the rental company will be leasing out a lot of cargo vans and commercial vans. So those are relatively small vehicles that somebody can drive without a commercial driver's license. So we don't want to give you the impression that this is a location where a lot of big semi trucks are going to be used. This is really a business to business.
I know what a box truck is. I know what a cargo van is. I just also know that that's a lot of activity for a very tight corner that
All right.
can't afford it because it's not engineered correctly.
All right.
So
We're taking Alderman Lopez.
Yeah, there's also Kirk Tires just south of this particular property. I think within a block and a half away on Western Boulevard. And that accommodates also very, very smoothly onto traffic from Western Avenue. And it's very similar. In fact, this site is a lot less intrusive than Kirk Tires would be just north of this particular site. So I'm aware of the area. I've been here almost 20 years and believe me, this is a very acceptable use. Not only acceptable, but it's needed to accommodate folks that are also now making their living moving different commodities in this growing sector, as I keep saying that. So it is for the local economy. It is a site that is, if you go look at it, it's dilapidated. People go in there and relieve themselves. It is a disaster that needs to be cleaned up, and this does a great benefit to the community. So I thank everybody on the committee for supporting it. Love you all. Bye.
All right. Okay. Enough discussion on that intersection. I'm sure traffic or CDOT will be helping Alderman Cardenas and Alderman Lopez on this congestion issue. Alderman David Moore has his hand up. David?
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to be counted in the quorum.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman Moore. Other questions, comments?
Chairman, I wish to be recognized as voting no against this item.
Okay. Well, let me get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call to establish quorum with Alderman Ray Lopez.
Cardenas moves, do pass.
Cardenas, George, you're not a member of the committee, I don't think.
No.
That's right. Sorry about
All right. Do I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Moved by Alderman David.
Alderman David Moore makes the motion with the note that Alderman Ray Lopez will be voting no on this item. Any other comments on the motion? Hearing no other, the item is passed with the recognition of one no vote on it.
You're gonna stay out of order.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to move out of order now. Who are we doing now?
Yelling Piper.
All right.
Middle of page 17.
All right. We are going to make an exception on this. This is the medical center?
Nope. This is
Okay, folks, committee members, out of order, moving to page 17. Document number 20631, 27th Ward. Ordinance was referred on February 24th of 21. Common address 160 North Morgan through 180 North Morgan. Change request C12 Neighborhood Commercial District to DX7 Downtown Mixed Use District, then to residential business plan development. We have Rich Clouder testifying. Rich?
I'm here, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. For the record, Rich Clouder from DLA Piper, along with my colleague Katie Jenke Dale. We represent an affiliate controlled by Sterling Bay, Chicago-based developer, and the request is to rezone the property to a residential business plan development with the underlying DX7 that you just mentioned for the property at 160 North Morgan. This would facilitate the construction of a residential tower of approximately 29 stories and a height of approximately 350 feet with 282 units, 2,800 square feet of ground floor commercial space and 89 parking spaces. A second sub area in the PD at 180 North Morgan is currently improved with a Federales restaurant and is not affected by this application. I should note that this PD was considered and recommended for approval by the Chicago Plan Commission on September 16th, 2021. And if I could, I'd like to request that the transcript and exhibits from that proceeding and the resolution adopted at that time be incorporated into the record here today.
Alderman Cardona moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections? Hearing none, the records are incorporated. Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I mentioned, the project is located at 160 North Morgan. The project did receive extensive community review, and the ultimate design evolved in response both to community feedback and Department of Planning and Development review. The developer is providing 28 affordable units on site and making a directed fee in lieu payment of over $5 million to facilitate a mixed income residential project located at 2548 South Federal. That's being developed by a developer by the name of AJ Patton under the name of SL Solar Lofts, and it will help forge community partnerships with minority and women-owned tradespeople and professionals. The developer at 160 North Morgan is also paying nearly $2 million into the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund to provide dollars for projects in underserved neighborhoods throughout the city as well as in the 27th Ward. I would like to quickly thank Alderman Burnett and DPD for their thorough and thoughtful review. We appreciate your time and consideration of this project, and I and members of the development team are available should you have any questions. Otherwise, we respectfully request that you recommend to the City Council approval of the PD application and go Sox.
All right. Thank you, Rich. Alderman Burnett on this item in the 27th.
Yeah, so we're fine with it. They went to the 3 local community organizations in the ward. They took in all of their concerns and challenges and revised the plans. And then we also had a community meeting with the West Loop Gate and all of those organizations. And the majority of the folks in those meetings did not have a problem with the development. So we asked for the committee support on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Burnett. Alderman David Moore, question?
Not a question, Chairman. Just wanted to state that I'm definitely in support of this. I know there's projects that come and, we did money that capital.
David, it sounds like you're in support of this. You were breaking up. Was there a constructive comment on this other than
Yes.
your support? Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. And I was just saying, it's usually when we have projects like this, yes, we get NOF money for it, but it's even better when we have developers like AJ Patton with 548 Capital, who's doing development in not only over up north, but he's doing development out south, and that's what it's supposed to be about. So I definitely stand in approval of this project and ask for pass do motion on this item.
You'll make the motion? Okay, I will entertain that in just a second if I don't see any other hands up. I don't, so then Alderman David Moore makes a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed as revised.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, let's. Where are we going back?
Now we're back just on, we still don't have Alderman Irvin or Alderman Garza. Oh, we have Alderman Wagasback on page 2.
All right, so now we're moving, since we're waiting on Sadlowski, Garza, and Irvin, we're gonna be on the top of page 2. Aldermanic 8718, 32nd Ward, ordinance was referred on September 14th of 2021. Common address is 1540 West North Avenue, and the change request, C12 Neighborhood Commercial District to B12 Neighborhood Shopping District. Alderman Wagasback.
Chairman, I'm doing this zoning change for purposes of planning to bring this property into conformity with all the surrounding properties, and I just ask for the committee's favorable consideration on this zoning change.
All right, planning tool, right, Scott? And bringing in consistency.
Yeah, sorry, I have construction going on my wall next door here, so I was just on mute. But yes, that's what the purpose is.
Questions for the Alderman? Seeing no hands up, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman.
So moved by Alderman David Moore.
Alderman David Moore makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you, Scott. Middle of page 2. Document number 20844 T1 in the first ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 2021. Common address 1733 through 35 West Potomac Avenue. Change request RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to an RT4 Residential 2 Flat Townhouse and Multi-Unit District. We have Joy Pinta. Joy, are you there? Okay, Joy Pinta. How about it? Okay, we're gonna have to skip this one. We'll get back to this item. Okay, moving on, bottom of page 2, document number 20837 T1, second ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 2021. Common address 1954 through 1958 West North Avenue, and the change request C13 Neighborhood Commercial District to C13 Neighborhood Commercial District. We have Attorney Nick Fatikas. Nick.
Good morning, Chairman. Nick Fatikas from the Law Offices of Sam Banks. For the record, I am here on behalf of the applicant, North 19 LLC. The applicant is proposing a zoning amendment, a type 1 transit-oriented development zoning amendment from the underlining C13 to C13 in order to permit an adaptive reuse program of the existing building. We are proposing to retain retail space on the first floor and a total of 9 residential units above. The subject property is transit-oriented development based on its proximity to the CTA station at Damon Avenue. So no new on-site parking would be provided. I'd also point out that this is a historic building, a contributing building within the historic district. And we've worked at length with the Wicker Park Committee along with Alderman Hopkins' office to find a development program that everybody was comfortable with. We do have a letter of support on file, although I do realize Alderman Hopkins is present. And before I turn the floor back over, I would ask that a substitute narrative and plan set be incorporated. We worked with DPD resolving an issue regarding the proposed floor area total, and I want to make sure that the correct ordinance and narrative are considered.
Alderman Hopkins moves to accept the substantive narrative plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the substitute is accepted. So with no more testimony from Nick, let's hear from Alderman Hopkins.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Really nothing to add to what council said. There's no objections to this, and I would ask my colleagues to support it and move to pass.
Questions for the attorney or the alderman? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move due pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass,
moved.
Alderman Wags.
Alderman
Oh, sorry,
Wagisback makes the
Chairman.
motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing
I think
none, this,
Ald-
I'm sorry.
Nothing, Chairman. I thought Alderman Hopkins had made the motion already, but that's all right. Thank you.
No, he accepted the substitute. All right, Alderman Wagisback makes the motion. Any objections to Alderman Wagisback's motion? Hearing none, the item is passed with the substantive narrative and plans. Thank you all. All right, moving on. Page 3, document number 20843 in the 47th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 2021. This common address, 3830 North Ashland Avenue, and the change request, B32 Community Shopping District to RM 4.5 Residential Multi-Unit District. Nick Fatikas.
Again, Chairman Nick Fatikas for the record. I'm here on behalf of the applicant and property owner, EP 3826 through 30 Ashland LLC. In this case, Chairman.
Nick, you gotta speak up.
Speak up, Nick.
I'm sorry. What the zoning change allows us to do is it actually brings us into eligibility for the new additional dwelling unit ordinance program. And in this case, the principal building will remain. And what's being proposed is a coach house unit above a newly constructed garage at the rear of the property. We've worked with Alderman Matt Martin and the local community organization, as well as the 47th Ward ZAC. And we believe there's a letter of support already on file for this program.
Okay, Nick, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Martin based on a covenant. For the record, what is the nature of the covenant?
Yeah, so the property currently has a 2-car garage at the rear, and there are 2 leased parking spaces in that garage. So we've agreed not to begin construction on the new coach house until those leases expire. And that was referenced both in a letter from my office to the alderman, as well as in the alderman's letter of support for the proposed zoning change.
All right,
So this item did have a letter of opposition everyone received in their packets, and this agreement now voids that
okay,
letter of opposition.
okay. So there was in the packet, committee members, there
Mhm.
was a letter of objection based on
The lease.
the lease. Now that has been cured via the covenant. So presumption is that that letter of objection is mute at this point. Okay, is that correct, Nick?
Exactly correct, and that's exactly why it was referenced in both the letter from my office as well as the alderman's letter to the committee.
Okay, with that, any questions from committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to? Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Dow, Pat?
Yeah, just, Chairman, wanted to ask Nick if there is an affordable housing requirement does one of the units have to be, I think you said 2 units?
No, there are two parking spaces. I'm sorry, Alderman, if you misunderstood or if I misrepresented that. We're proposing 1 coach house unit, but maintaining 2 units of parking or 2 parking spaces. So this
Okay.
does not trigger a legal or technical affordable unit.
All right, move to pass.
All right.
Chairman.
Okay, so Alderman Dow makes a motion, move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Now we're moving to the middle of page 3, document number 20842. Again, in the 47th Ward, ordinance was referred on September 14th of 2021. Common address is right adjacent to the previous one at 3826 North Ashland Avenue. Change request, B32 Community Shopping District to an RM 4.5 Residential Multi-Unit District. Again, we have Nick Fatikas.
And Chairman Nick Fatikas for the record, and this is a nearly identical case to the previous case. We're proposing a zoning change to bring the property into compliance or eligibility with the additional dwelling unit ordinance so that we can build a coach house at the rear. There would be 1 residential unit in the coach house, and the design retains 2 off-street parking spaces, which are currently would be replaced with this development. We've worked with the Alderman's office as well as the Zoning Advisory Committee and the local community organization We believe there's a letter of support on file, and in this case as well, we've agreed not to begin construction until the expiration of the parking lease in May of 2022.
Okay, questions, again, identical situation. Any questions from committee members?
Move to pass,
All
Chairman.
right, hearing no more questions, Alderman Pat Dowell moves to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you. So is that?
Chairman, I'm going to turn the floor over, or turn my computer over to Sarah, so
Okay.
we can stay promoted. So just give us 1 second.
Wait a second.
Joy.
All right, Sarah, you're gonna have to wait a few minutes. We're going back to an aldermanic application. And I'm gonna read it into the record, so we will be in the 10th ward, page 1, committee members. Document number A8717, 10th ward, ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 13231 South Burley Avenue. The change request, RS3 residential single unit detached house district to a B31 community shopping district. And we have Joy? Molly from Alderman Sadlowski Garza. On this
Hello,
app-
everyone. Good afternoon.
Molly, if you can, do me a favor, could you take the mask off so we can hear you a little bit better?
Sure.
Thank you.
Is that better?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so I'm here on behalf of Alderwoman Garza for this ordinance to change the zoning for 13231 South Burley Avenue, which is Henry Clay Elementary School.
And the purpose of the zoning change, I hear it's something to do with the sign.
Yes, so there's a marquee sign that the school would like to install at the same location where their current sign is. They just want to install a marquee sign, which is digital, so that they can display messages to students and staff and parents. And that's
Right.
in order to get that sign installed, the zoning change is necessary.
Well, thank you. Molly, is it the alderman's intention, once the sign is up, to revert the zoning back to the RS3? Okay.
Yes.
All right, any questions, comments, committee members? One quick question, is this a private donation on the sign, or is CPS putting the sign up?
No, the school has already paid for it. They already have the sign.
Within the student body community or the parent?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm jealous. I've done that a lot, but those are not, those are expensive signs, so. good
Right.
luck to you. All right, other questions, comments? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Keppelman makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Molly. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So
Now
we're
we're going to, is Joy here? Okay, the middle of page 2.
All right, all right. We're going to move to the middle of page 2 on an item in the first ward. Again, the attorney is now on the call. It's document number 20844 T1, first ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Change, common address 1733 through 35 West Potomac Avenue. And the change request, RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RT4 residential 2-flat townhome and multi-unit district. Joy Pinta.
Good morning. I want to start by apologizing for earlier. I don't know how I lost.
No
connectivity,
problem,
but-
no problem.
But
We're
I
moving-
did, so I'm sorry to make you kind of come back a little bit for me.
Let's begin.
Yes, sir, sorry. My clients are the owners of a 2-story residential single-family home at 1733-35 West Potomac. They're proposing the zoning change from an RS3 to an RT4 to accommodate a proposed addition in the rear, which will allow them to install solar panels on their roof, which will exceed the height limitations of an RS3. So they're seeking the RT4 to allow for the installation of the solar panels. Currently, the house is a LEED certified gold home, and my clients are looking to improve their environmental sustainability by installing the solar panels. Once the permitting is allowed, my client's intention is to downzone back to the RS3.
All right. Joy, question before we open up to committee members. So this is a height issue?
Yes, it is.
And what is the height of this thing?
Once constructed, it'll be 38 feet.
Okay. We have a letter of support from Alderman LaSpada on this issue. Any questions for the applicant? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Alderman Wagisback.
Alderman Wagisback makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you.
All right.
Four.
All right. Top of page 4, committee members, we are on application number 20805, 6th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address 7207 South Champlain Avenue. And the change request, RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RM 4.5 residential multi-unit district. And we have Sarah Barnes on the call. Sarah?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and esteemed members of the committee. For the record, my name is Sarah Barnes, and I'm an attorney with the law offices of Sam Banks. Happy to be here today on behalf of the applicant, Lawler and Hamlin Properties LLC. The applicant owns the subject property. They actually recently acquired the subject property, which is improved with a 2-story with a partially above grade basement residential building. They acquired the property with the intention to rehab and renovate the existing building and the dwelling units located therein so that they can put them back out. This company does affordable housing for veterans. So the building currently contains 3 dwelling units, 1 on each floor, including that partially below grade or above grade basement. The dwelling units are not in great shape right now, and despite our due diligence, we could not find a permit record for the dwelling units that is located in the basement. So in order to permit the renovation and also to insure and occupy those units, we do require a zoning change because the building is non-conforming under the current RS3 zoning. And unfortunately, this property does not fall within one of the ratified and ordained ADU pilot areas. So we are doing this exercise through City Council. I have met with Alderman Sawyer, and we've reached out to the adjacent property owners as well. And it is my understanding that we do have a letter of support from Alderman Sawyer that has been tendered to the committee, and the residents as well have been very supportive. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Sarah, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Sawyer. Questions, comments from committee members? Just a quick one. Is this wouldn't be covered under the ADU? This is not an area?
Yeah, it's not in one of the pilot areas,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Great. Okay. Other questions, comments? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Alderman Wagisback moves to pass.
Alderman Wagisback moves to pass. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you, Sarah. Now we're moving into the document number, middle of page 4, document number 20755 T1 32nd Ward. Ordinance was referred on June 23rd of 21. Common address 1601 Northwestern Avenue, and the change request B32 Community Shopping District to a B32 Community Shopping District. Sarah Barnes, please.
you. Once more, good morning again, Mr. Chairman and the team members. of the
Speak up,
committee.
Sarah.
Once more for the record, my name is Sarah Barnes and I am an attorney with the law offices of Sam Banks. Happy to be here this afternoon or morning still on behalf of the applicant, GW North and Western LLC. The applicant does own the subject property, and this is, I think, maybe the fourth, at least the third time we've been before this committee substituting plans on a previously ratified type 1 zoning change for this site. So I certainly commend Alderman Wagisback because we've been working on this for about 4 years. The subject site comprises the northeast corner of Western Avenue and North Avenue. It was previously a standalone Pizza Hut restaurant with a huge surface parking lot that was abandoned many years ago. The applicant has had several different operators interested in and development programming ideas for the site, but unfortunately, due to kind of changing ways over the past couple of years, several of those contracts have been terminated. So we are here, hopefully, I pray, for the last time with the current proposal, which calls for the construction of 2 new independent commercial buildings, 1-story commercial buildings. One of those buildings is intended to be occupied by a national convenience store, and the other one by a fast quick service but good tasting restaurant. The intention for the restaurant is kind of unique, as many of you may have learned over the course of COVID and other evolution. The idea of pre-ordering your food and going to the restaurant and picking it up and taking it home with you has become quite the phenomenon, as opposed to even a drive-through. So the operations for the restaurant are intended that you pre-order, and then there is going to be a pickup only window. This is not a drive-through. It will not contain, or it will not include a animated or an automated menu board. All of the orders will be placed prior to pickup, and then you can either drive in, park, and walk in and pick up your food, or you can pull up to the window where they will hand you the food. But there's no speakers, lights, anything of that sort. So because this is a little bit of a unique use, we have, again, been engaging with Alderman Wagisback and his amazing staff as well. We've had ongoing communications with many of the residents in the neighborhood to explain the new proposal. And I believe I will let Alderman Wagisback speak for himself, but I believe we do have general support for the proposal as it has been described here today. Towards that end, Alderman, Mr. Chairman, I do have a substitute if that's where.
Right, okay.
So before we vote.
We should have started with the substitute, then we.
I know.
All right,
I got excited.
Alderman Wagisback moves to accept the substitute narrative plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was
So
used
moved.
to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the substitute is in front of us. We've heard from the attorney. We will now hear from the alderman.
Yes, Alderman, this is definitely the last time I hope we come before the committee. We have communicated with our community groups and the individuals nearby there, and everyone is, I think, on board with this project. It is an amendment of the type 1 with this new substitute. So I think Sarah, Ms. Barnes put it together pretty well about what we did with it. So I would just ask for the favorable consideration of my fellow committee members to support this zoning change for planning purposes.
Thank you, Alderman. Any questions before I ask the restaurant question? So Ms. Barnes talked at length about this concept. So you're aware of who the vendor is or who the chain is? And as a restaurateur, it's kind of unique in the sense that if they have a pickup window and there's 5 pickups at the same time, it'll be interesting to see how they line up, so to speak, at this pickup window.
My biggest concern was the we worked closely with all the neighbors on the curb cut issue and making sure that we don't have excessive traffic coming in and out of there, because we're talking about the corner of North and Western on the northeast side there. Sarah's team did work on this. I think there was a little concern about pickup versus drive-through, but if the orders are done ahead, as I think a lot of people are doing now, where they just jump out, pick up the order, and it's already in their process, I don't think it'll be a big issue, but we might have to revisit that, depending on what happens here. But we did reduce curb cuts on this corner in previous iterations to make sure that we reduce the impact on the corner, and we're working on the pedestrian issues as well.
Right. So no indoor dining, Scott?
No, this is.
Or what is it, like 1,000 square feet, or what? How big is it?
Sarah, do you have the square footage there?
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman, and for everyone's edification, this will also, the Department of Planning and Development is still treating this as a drive-through. So it will need to go through site plan review, because it will also require, in addition to the type 1, a special use from the Zoning Board of Appeals. So that therein, we will be working with CDOT and the Department of Planning and Development on any such issues as you indicated, such as queuing, and then vehicular navigation and pedestrian experience around the site. The building is actually 2,400 square feet.
The restaurant itself, 2,400.
Yeah, the retail building is 4,000. The restaurant is 2,400 total. Project FAR 6,400 with the 0.3. So
Alderman,
28 parking spaces.
I was gonna say there's significant parking.
Okay, let me interrupt for a second. Alderman, has the user been identified to the neighbor?
Yes. And Sarah, I don't know if you actually have a contract with them yet.
Yeah, we have a letter of intent
Yeah,
for a lease. But I think that we actually disclosed it to the Department of Planning and Development, so it's subject to Freedom of Information Act. Alderman Chairman Tunney, so I think I'm comfortable.
Let me do a Freedom of Information request.
I was gonna say I'm comfortable
and I want to wait 6 weeks for it.
I'm comfortable in light of that sharing who the tenant is, and we have shared that with the neighbors. It's going to be Chipotle.
All right. Well, that's one word says it all. Okay. So yeah. Okay. All righty. Okay. Other questions, comments from committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Kappelman makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, this item is passed with, for the last time, the substantive narrative and plans. Okay.
Yeah, we're not coming back on this one, Chairman.
All right, well,
thank you.
I've got the address firmly embedded in my mind, okay? Northeast corner. All right, good luck. All right.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Alderman.
All right, now, okay, since Irvin is not here, we'll take all his applications at the same time. I'm moving to the top of page 5. In the 24th Ward, document number 20825, 24th Ward, ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address 4011 West Lexington Street. Change request, RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse district. And we have Michael Esger on this.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Michael Esger from the law firm of Acosta Esger on behalf of the applicant. And as you suggested, we are requesting the zoning change. We've been working to add an additional unit to an existing building. We've worked with Alderman Scott and his office. And I believe that he has a letter of support on file with the department, and we're here to answer any questions.
All right. Okay, so we do have a letter of support from Alderman Scott. And obviously it looks like there's no change to the size of the building. It's just a dwelling unit in the basement, right? Okay.
Correct.
All right, questions, comments, committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Hopkins makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All right, Michael, we were to continue on document number 20817, 47th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 2021. Common address is 2308 through 2316 West Leland Avenue. Also 4710 through 4714 North Lincoln Avenue, and the change request B11 Neighborhood Shopping District to a C11 Neighborhood Commercial District. Michael?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Again, Michael Esger, law firm of Acosta Esger, on behalf of the applicant. This is, our client has an existing business called the Augusta Food and Wine, and they've been operating in the building for some time, and they wanted to expand to have the wine bar portion of the Augusta Food and Wine, which required us to change for a use from B1 to C1. No changes to the building. We worked with Alderman Martin and the 47th Ward and have a letter of support on file with the committee, and we're here to answer any questions.
All right, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Martin. Seems like a nice addition to his neighborhood. Any questions and comments? Hearing none, Alderman Osterman makes the motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. And Michael, you'll have to hold on when we get back to the 28th Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, will do.
Okay, bottom of page 4, or I'm sorry, bottom of page 5. We are on document number 20820, 4th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 4341 through 4343 South Cottage Grove Avenue. And the change request, B11 Neighborhood Shopping District to B32 Community Shopping District. We have Rolando Acosta.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Rolando Acosta here on behalf of the applicant. The matter before you involves a proposal that is spearheaded by Harry Lennox, who is a Chicago-born actor. He currently portrays Harold Cooper on The Blacklist. He wants to give back to his community and celebrate African-American performing arts. And for that purpose, he has formed an entity that proposes to convert the existing building into a theater. It will have a 350-seat theater within the building, as well as a 100-seat theater. Mr. Chairman, this building is an old Marshall Fields warehouse. It's actually a sister building to the Briar Street Theater building in your ward. So it's going to be used similarly to that theater. It has received significant community support. It's about an 11,500 square foot building. Parking will be dealt with by leases off-site with adjacent properties. We have discussed this with the alderman. It's also been reviewed by the Department of Planning, as it is a subject of some TIF assistance that has been offered by the city in making this a reality. I believe Alderman King has expressed her support for this project. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the chairman or the committee may have.
Thank you, Rolando. I think we have Alderman Sophia King and or Prentice, who would like to speak?
Yeah, no, I'm
There you
here.
go. Okay.
Back and forth between meetings, Chairman, but I'm definitely here.
On the theater on the 4343 South Cottage.
So thank you. What would you like my comments now, Chairman?
Yes, please.
Okay. So first of all, I just want to, state from the outset that the applicant is a friend of mine. We've known each other for many years. A number of people know him, in his capacity as an actor, but he's a friend of mine. And I say this, in the interest of just full disclosure, because my support for this project is based entirely on the merits of the project itself and has no bearing on the fact that I know him. But here's why I support the project. So as you guys probably know, there's a sister project the Briar Street project that was rehabbed in the, I think in the 70s. And this project seeks to do something similar. It's a formal Marshall Fields and Company carriage house, and it's going to take it and rehab it into a theater as well. It will bring, a long sought after amenity to the neighborhood. Will be the host of an African American museum for the performing arts. Will create jobs, both part-time and full-time, and really will just add some vitality, economic development to a beleaguered building, but will just bring amenities to Cottage Grove, which has a number of things happening there right now. It's an Invest Southwest area, and so there are a number of projects that are occurring there. This would just only add to not only this particular street, but to the larger Bronzeville community. So I wholeheartedly support this project and am asking for the support of my colleagues here today.
Alderwoman, it sounds like an amazing project. I hope you're at least as successful as the Briar Street Theater has been to the Lakeview community. One quick question though, not familiar with South Cottage Grove. Where is the parking?
So I can answer that, Mr. Chairman. There's two options for parking. There's a city facility that is used during the day. It is an educational community center. So we are discussing, it holds about 63 parking spaces. Since the theater will operate on weekends and in the evenings, we have discussed with the city the possibility of leasing that property for use as parking. There's also a vacant parcel to the east of the building that we're seeking to try to acquire that would also serve as parking if we're successful in acquiring it.
Alderwoman King, anything else?
No, I think that this would be a great amenity to our community, and again, I'm asking for the support of this committee.
Thank you very much. Sounds
Thank
exciting. We just have on the north side, we definitely have a problem with the parking.
Yeah, is
Once you're
Briar
in,
Street in your ward,
It
Chairman?
is. It
Oh,
is.
okay.
Yeah.
So this literally, the buildings are, twins.
Replicas, yeah.
Yes, and so it's interesting to understand that, and we hope to be as successful as Briar Street is in your community.
Yep, I think they've been, if I'm not mistaken, 25 years running.
Right, I'm definitely familiar, been in there and didn't understand the connection until now, until the last couple of years, so.
All right, well, other questions and comments? Hearing none, Alderman Dowell makes the motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Congratulations, good luck to you, Alderwoman, on that one.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, all right, now we have, we're gonna go back to Alderman Irvin is on the call. Hold on. Alderman Irvin, nice to see you. You've got a number of things in front of our committee. I'm going to start with bottom of page 1, document number A8715, 28th Ward. Ordinance was referred on July 21st of 21. The change, let's see, the change request to classify a segment of the West Taylor right-of-way from the center line of South Racine Avenue on the east and the center line of South Loomis Avenue or street on the west side as a pedestrian street. Alderman Irvin on this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is something being done to connect both pedestrian streets along Taylor. We're also working in conjunction with CHA and related on development at the corner of Racine and Taylor, and making this a pedestrian street throughout, essentially from Ashland all the way back to Morgan, is in the best interest of all concerned, and would ask for the committee support.
Thank you, Alderman. Any questions for the Alderman? Comments? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Hopkins makes that motion. Move to pass. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, this item is passed. Yeah. Now we are, which one are we doing now?
The one above it.
Okay, staying on page 1, Aldermanic A8728, 27th and the 28th Ward. Ordinance was referred on March 13th of 19. Common address, the Illinois Medical District, also known as the area bounded by the north line of West Congress Parkway, South Ashland Avenue, the alley next south of West 15th Street, South Paulina Street, West 15th Street, South Wood Street. So that's the alley quadrant, right? South Damon Avenue, the north line of the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad right-of-way, and South Oakley Boulevard. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed West 14th Street itself. All right, this is a change request. Institutional Plan Development number 30 and C12 Neighborhood Commercial District to Institutional Plan Development number 30 as amended. So we have both Alderman Irvin and Alderman Burnett on this application. Alderman Irvin, would you like to start?
Yes, this is the Illinois Medical District, which lies in both the 27th and 28th wards. This change is essentially creating additional uses, primarily on the south end of the district, where you see a lot of green and a lot of vacant land. Essentially is to bring the district's land use into compliance with 21st century thinking, and to bring forth ideas that will create jobs and a better residents and community, not only in the west side of Chicago, but also for our city in its entirety. Alderman Burnett may have a few words as well, but I definitely want to move forward with this.
All right, thank you, Alderman Irvin. Alderman Burnett, you want to chime in on this also?
Yes, I concur with Alderman Irving. Also, what this does is bring in the new ARO ordinance into this area. So whenever someone do something and they are starting to do more residential over in this area, it would incorporate affordable housing. So I'm in full support of this. That's the party.
Thank you, both aldermans. Questions for the alderman? Have any hands up? Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Alderman Wagisbeck.
Alderman Scott Wagisbeck makes the motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing on the item is passed. Thank you both. Are we still with Alderman Irvin or not?
Yep, we are. We are going to bottom of page 4.
All right, Jason, we're going to go to the bottom of page 4 and committee members at large. We have item number 20751, 28th Ward. Ordinance was referred on June 23rd of 21. Common address is 5050 through 5098 and 5093 through 5099, all on West Jackson Boulevard, 235 through 313 South Leamington Avenue, 5043 through 5090, I'm sorry, 5043 through 5099 West Quincy. The change request, institutional plan development number 1103 and RT4 residential 2 flat townhouse and multi-unit district to an RM 4.5 residential multi-unit district, and then to an institutional plan development number 1103 as amended. So we're back to Michael Esger on this, and I think we have slides on this one.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, good morning, and to the members of the committee as well. Michael Esger from the law firm of Acosta Esger on behalf of the Chicago Jesuit Academy. And this, a little background briefly, the Chicago Jesuit Academy is a full scholarship, lower and middle income school for children from modest economic backgrounds who cannot otherwise access well-resourced college preparatory education. And since 2007, CJA has been serving the Austin neighborhood on Chicago's west side. CJA enrolls students without regard for their past level of academic achievement or economic status. And traditionally, CJA has served young men from the area. And the project before you today is an expansion of the CJA campus to allow it to also serve young women from the area. As a preliminary matter, this was heard and approved at the September Plan Commission. So I'd ask that the record of that proceeding be incorporated herein.
Commission, I'm sorry, Alderman Haddon moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to our motion? Hearing none, the records are now incorporated. Continue.
Sure, thank you. And the slide you're looking at shows the existing site plan and the existing campus. The building to the south, the blue and gray sort of newer building is Christ the King School, which is in sub-area B of this plan development. And the buildings to the east is the Chicago Jesuit Academy current campus. And the next slide will show the proposed addition of the new building to the west of the existing CJA campus. It runs along Quincy Street. And the next slide will show the building from the opposite looking south. You can see the new building was, we worked closely with Alderman Irvin, the community, as well as DPD to come up with a building that not only fits in, but handles some of the other issues with parking and drop off and pickup. And if you go to the next slide, we can see the elevation of the new building. And you can see that one of the things that we've done is to create some public art space as well along the ground floor. And although this image only shows one such public art display, the intention is to have those bays on the ground floor be able to also have some good public art for the area. And I think, is there another slide? Yes, this shows the interior courtyard that's being preserved. There's some on-site pickup and drop off. We're also, if I'm not sure if there's another slide or not. If not, we can go back to we can go back to the beginning, I suppose. And you can see that the existing, there's some parking currently on site, and then the parking for this project, along with the expansion, will be expanded onto the south side of Jackson and Leamington, where
Michael.
Yes.
Show me for the benefit of the committee members where the parking is.
So there's two parking expansions. One will be along the southeast corner of Leamington and Jackson. There's a so right on this corner, there's a vacant city-owned lot, which we are in the process of working with DPD to acquire. And then there's another single-family home, which we are also acquiring. And those two will be combined to provide some parking for expanded parking for Christ the King. And then there are two single-family homes along Quincy that are also being acquired and as part of the PD to expand parking for CJA. Again, we've worked with the Alderman community and DPD to craft a good plan, a good site plan.
All right, continue.
And with all that explains the project. It explains what we've done so far. We're here to answer any questions, and Alderman Irvin is on the call.
Alderman Irvin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As Attorney Esger has stated, this expansion of Chicago Jesuit Academy and Christ the King High School plan development, we've met with members in the community, and there is support for making these adjustments. While we did not necessarily want to lose a single family housing, we really found that there was no other way to make this work and without, going underground, and which was fairly cost prohibitive, and making that particular way to do parking work. But overall, Chicago Jesuit and Christ the King do very good for residents of the west side of Chicago, and we support their planned expansion.
Thank you, Jason. So for the benefit of the committee, what's the enrollment with this combined campus?
I just lost my narrative. Hold on.
With both the elementary and high school, you're asking?
Yeah, and I'm getting to the point where, okay, you've got X number of students, and you got faculty, and what is the ratio of the student, the whole size of this thing with the number of parking spaces? That's where I'm going with it.
Oh, well, what we found is that currently the number of spaces that are being utilized on a day-to-day basis are not 100%. You're adding over 100% number of spaces, but you're only adding maybe 30% more students when you look at it in its totality. So we do believe that the site is adequately parked. The only challenge comes up, and this has been an ongoing challenge, is when there's special events. For example, a basketball game at Christ the King. When you're going to draw 300-400 people, that's a challenge. But other than that, the day-to-day operations of the school, we do not believe will have a detrimental impact on the community because the site will be adequately parked.
Thank you, Alderman. Obviously, this is an amazing existing facility and expanding to serve the west side. It's I'm very familiar with the Jesuit teachings, and it's a real tribute to add that to the west side, or continue to add to the west side.
You weren't paddled, were you?
No, that was frat life when I was older.
Oh, okay. I thought you had.
Well, no, I know. I maybe in high school. Yeah. Anyways, I'm all better for my educational experiences. Okay. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
All right.
That's all we have. Thank you.
It's exciting though. They really do an amazing job. Questions, comments? Nope. All right. Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Alderman Kappelman moves to pass.
Alderman Kappelman makes that motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing on the item is passed as revised.
Thank you, guys. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Are you a Jesuit, Kappelman? Were you in the Jesuit order?
No, Franciscan.
Oh, Franciscan. Oh, okay. We won't
All
hold
right.
that against you.
All righty.
Thank you.
Top of page 6, is that right, staff? Yes. Okay. Top of page 6, document number 20832 T1, 12th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 2720 West Cermak Road. Change request B23 Neighborhood Mixed Use District to B23 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. Rolando Acosta.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Rolando Acosta here on behalf of the applicant. The matter before you involves an existing property that has a 3-unit building that is set back to the rear of the lot, basically built on the alley. The proposal is to build a front addition and add 3 more units for a total of 6 units. The property will have 3 parking spaces. It is a transit-served location. We have previously rezoned this for purposes of adding only residential. This Cermak is a commercial street, has many commercial uses. As part of this proposal, we will be adding some ground floor commercial, about 700 square feet along the Cermak frontage, which brings it in keeping with the neighborhood and the commercial nature of Cermak Street, as well as the additional units. I believe Alderman Cardenas has communicated his support for this to the committee. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Rolando,
Yes, sir.
What is the reduction in parking
So it would be 3 parking spaces.
versus the required?
6. So there would be
So it's a
60
50%. Okay.
50% reduction.
All right, and you have met with the alderman,
Yes,
and the alderman is advised that he is neutral on this project. Is
he has, yes, he has no objection to it, but
no
otherwise.
object. Okay, just for the record, for the
Yes.
member, for my committee members. Okay, so questions for the applicant on this? No questions? Can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Kappelman makes that motion. Any objection to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Okay, now we're moving to the bottom of page 6. Document number 20826, T1, in the 25th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 2315 West 24th Place. The change request from an RM6 residential multi-unit district to a B23 neighborhood mixed use district. All right, Rolando, this is in the 25th Ward. Have you obviously been working with the alderman on this?
We have been working with the alderman on this. However, I was advised this morning by the alderman that he'd like this matter, as well as a matter that appears at the bottom of page 7 in his ward, to be deferred.
Okay, so we will make a motion to defer this item, document number 20826 T1 in the 25th Ward. Again, the address is 2315 West 24th Place. So I get a motion to defer this item.
Alderman Kappelman so moves.
Alderman makes the motion to defer the item. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, this item is deferred.
And we're gonna defer this item too, he just said.
All right, while we're on the 25th Ward, I'm gonna move to page 7 on the bottom. While we have another deferral, this is item number 19933, T1, 25th Ward. Ordinance was referred on January 23rd of 19. Address 2324 West Cullerton Street, and the change request from an RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district to a B23 neighborhood mixed use district. I need a motion to defer this item by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Alderman Kappelman makes that motion to defer. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, this item also is deferred. All right, Rolando, that's an old application. You got some work to do on that one. So, all right. Okay, now we're on the top of page 7. Document number 20823 T1, 30th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 5416 through 5424 West Belmont Avenue. And the change request, B31 Community Shopping District to a B23 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. Rolando Acosta.
Once again, Mr. Chairman, Rolando Acosta here on behalf of the applicant. The property before you is mid-block on Belmont. It contains about 12,500 square feet and is improved of land and is improved with a 1-story commercial building. The proposal is to rehabilitate the ground floor and add 2 stories to the existing building, resulting in about 8,000 square feet of commercial space along the Belmont frontage. We will also have 1 dwelling unit on the ground floor that will be an ADA unit, as well as 12 additional units on the upper 2 floors that will be added to the existing building. 13 parking spaces will be provided on site. We did have a community meeting on this matter. It's in Alderman Raboyes' ward, and had no objections to the proposal.
All right, Rolando, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Raboyes. The only question I have is the existing building, 1 story, and then you're adding residential on top of it.
That's
Is
correct.
there an existing commercial tenant?
There's no existing commercial tenant.
Okay, so you're starting from scratch, new commercial with, as I say, 13 residential units, and then the number of parking spaces, I'm sorry?
13.
Okay, all right. As I said, committee members, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Raboyes. Can I get a motion to move do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderman Lopez.
Alderman Raymond Lopez makes the motion. Any opposed, any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All right, moving on, again, in the 30th Ward, page 7, middle, document number 20807, 30th Ward, ordinance was referred on September 14th of 2021. This common address, 2419 through 2425 North Central Avenue. The change request from an RS3 residential single unit detached house district to a B21 neighborhood mixed use district. Rolando Acosta.
Once again, Mr. Chairman, last item I have, this Rolando Acosta here on behalf of the applicant. The proposal here is to rezone the property so that we can provide some off-site additional parking for a restaurant. There is existing restaurant. There was an existing restaurant at 2430 North Central across Central Avenue from this location. It is being rehabilitated for a cozy corner restaurant. The owner wishes to have some additional parking to serve that restaurant, and for that purpose has purchased this property. It will contain 23 parking spaces. It will have a 10-foot wide landscape buffer around the entire property that will contain trees as well as shrubs and other amenities. And the access to the proposed parking lot will be from Central Avenue. Again, we have consulted with Alderman Raborius on this matter, and I believe he is supportive.
We do have a letter of support from Alderman Raborius. I know this is a successful concept, I believe, started in, I think almost Lakeview, or I think it was almost Lakeview on Lincoln, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, they do a real nice job there. But the parking in general is, how safe is the parking? Isn't adjacent to it? Is it across the street or?
It's across the street. It is across the street from the site. It's probably, I'm going to say, about 150 feet to get to the intersection to cross the street to it. There's also parking. There's current parking on the same property as the restaurant. There's probably about 10 parking spaces on that site, but some additional parking was desired, hence this location.
Yeah, I'm just thinking the safety issue, trying to cross. Yeah. All right, good. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Raborius. Alderman Kappelman makes a motion to move do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Again, a great addition to the 30th Ward, I believe. I think it'll be very successful there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Do not have Lewis Powell, the attorney for the next item on?
Okay, let me, my staff says we, on top of page 8, our attorney Lewis Powell is not on the call yet. So we will hold that item. All right, so we do have Kareem. That's his name. What first name? Last? Okay, all right, I'll have to do it just easy way. We do have Kareem from the office of Lewis Powell. So we will move forward on document number 20839 in the 6th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 7310 South Halsted Street. The change request, B12 Neighborhood Shopping District to an M11 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District. Sounds like that's Kareem here. Kareem, identify yourself for the record, please.
Alderman Tooney, this is Attorney Powell.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Now, Attorney Powell, identify yourself again.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Chairman. For the record, my name is Louis W. Powell III. I'm an attorney with offices at 53 West Jackson, Chicago, Illinois. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Ronald Shields, for the property located at 7310 South Halsted. Chairman, the subject property is an existing 18 feet in height, 1,754.86 square feet, brick commercial building on a 6,050 square foot lot. The applicant proposes to redevelop the existing building into a warehouse and distribution center with 6 off-street parking spaces and no dwelling units. For the record, the applicant is establishing a wholesale tequila distribution business nationwide named Disbelief Spirits Midwest LLC, and this will be its first location in Chicago. The applicant intends to renovate the building for the adapted reuse of the existing structure for the proposed operation. In order to accomplish this proposal, Mr. Chairman, we filed an application to amend the zoning of the property from a B1-2 neighborhood shopping district to that of an M1-1 limited manufacturing / business district, park business district. We had support of Alderman Roderick Sawyer, and we've sent the proper notification to the community. Mr. Chairman, should you have any questions, we are available.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Talk to me about, obviously it sounds exciting, but a major change. Alderman Sawyer is on board?
He's definitely on board.
Okay, so for our committee, would you make sure that we get a copy of that letter of support? Is that right, Nicole?
Yeah, I don't have a copy of that.
Okay, so just forward a copy to our committee, please.
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. With that, any questions? Comments? All right. Okay, a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Alderman Burnett makes that motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All
Mr.
right.
Chairman, we thank you for your consideration as well as the committee. Thank you.
Yes, sir, and good luck.
Thank you.
Don't be drinking too much of that stuff, okay? Personal experience, okay, so, all right. Let's see, middle of page 8. Document number 20804, 6th Ward, ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address 745 East 75th Street. Change request, B11 Neighborhood Shopping District to C11 Neighborhood Commercial District. Tamara Walker.
Yes, good afternoon, Chairman. How are you this afternoon?
Good afternoon. Let's talk about East 75th Street, please.
Sure. For the record, my name is Tamara Walker, and I'm an attorney, and my office is located at 1016 West Jackson Avenue here in Chicago. So I'm here today on behalf of the applicant, the Social Network LLC, and it's for a property located at 745 East 75th Street. So currently the subject is an existing 2-story brick building with a 1-story patio, with a 1-story portion at the rear of the property. The property sits on a 2,487.5 square foot lot. The applicant is here proposing to establish a general restaurant on the 1st and 2nd floors with a rooftop patio. That's why I misspoke about the rooftop. So he's looking for a rooftop patio on the 2nd floor. There are no dwelling units in the building, and there's no on-site parking currently at the property. So we filed an application to amend the zoning from a B1-1 neighborhood shopping district to a C1-1 neighborhood commercial district in order to allow for the applicant to conduct his business. And we do have the support of Alderman Roderick Sawyer. We've sent all the proper notification to the community, and we are available for questions. Chairman, thank you.
Okay, Tamara, would you please forward a copy of the Alderman's recommendation to Nicole and our committee, please?
Sure.
We've been in communication tomorrow. I can email you again if you need my.
Okay.
All right. So if this is, again, you're talking to the wrong zoning committee person, being a restaurateur, I usually have a question or two. So it's 2,500 square feet is the plot is basically the size of the building?
The building square footage, our land use consultant is also on the call, Mr. Musawir. I am looking to see if I have the exact square footage of the building.
But you're doing a 2-story restaurant and a patio on the roof.
Correct.
So it's not it's a fairly sizable operation, right?
That is correct.
And then you mentioned about parking or not parking.
Currently, there is no parking. Mr. Donnell Digby is the owner and the principal member of the Social Network LLC. He is looking to obtain additional parking. As of now, in that location, there's adequate street parking. He actually was in the process of obtaining additional property, but that deal was unsuccessful. So he is still looking to obtain additional parking. However, currently there is enough street parking in the area to support that business.
Meaning on the commercial corridors and not on the residential?
Correct.
Okay. All right, and the alderman is aware of that, obviously, and he's definitely supportive of the economic development coming to his board.
Absolutely.
If you would just forward that to Nicole and figure it out. But we do have his support letter, or we will have his support letter. Any questions, comments from other committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Alderman Wagasback.
Alderman Wagasback makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Good luck to you.
Thank you. And I'll get the letter to Nicole today.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have some North Siders going to 75th Street for a change. How about that?
Go Sox. Thank you for your time.
Cub fans are going to be allowed, maybe? No.
Oh, absolutely. But I had to get that in. I had to follow the crowd today.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Good luck. All right. Bottom of page 8, document number 20808, 9th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 10701 South Martin Luther King Drive. And the change request, RT4 residential 2-flat townhome and multi-unit district to a B32 community shopping district. And this is James Stola on the call. James?
Yeah, for the record, James Stola, I'm the attorney for the applicant Rose Cafe LLC. They proposed to open a coffee shop with a minimal food preparation. They're going to rehab an existing building that's a 1-story commercial building that has been boarded up for quite some time. It previously was used over 30 years ago, and perhaps within the last 30 years, as a dry cleaners before the zoning changed to an RT4. Now, across the street is zoned B32, so it's consistent with the area, and they're not going to change the footprint of the building. They're just going to rehab it to open up a coffee shop. And just for also, just in case there's any issues with it, there is a church across the street, across Martin Luther King Drive there. So if that's an issue at all, but it seems to be a good location for this type of a business. There's nothing, or this type of a coffee shop, because there's nothing really in that area. And there's a lot of multi-unit buildings and across the street and on this street also. But it's going to be consistent with the neighborhood, because it isn't B32 across the street. I have nothing further.
Thank you, James. You've met with Alderman Beal and the community?
We have, it's my understanding that we have his support. We have been communicating with them and with the community group through him.
Well, we're going to hear from Alderman Beal right now if he's on the call. Tony?
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
All righty. You talk about the South Martin Luther King Drive coffee shop.
Mr. Stola is exactly correct. This building has been vacant for a long time and it's an old dry cleaners. And I'm excited to put this property back in use in the community. It's going to be a small coffee shop with some reading area, and hopefully we can grow this business, because there are a couple of empty lots just to the east of it where we can use it as parking. And I think this would be a great amenity to the community as well by putting this property back in use. So I'm in full support and ask the committee to support it as well.
Thank you, Alderman. Questions for the Alderman or the applicant? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that's used to determine quorum?
Move to pass by Alderman Wagasback.
Alderman Wagasback makes the motion. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Alderman Beal, do you have anything else on the?
No, I think that's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much, and thanks to the members of the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Top of page 9, document number 20834 T1 in the 11th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. The common address is 2745 South Princeton Avenue. The change request, RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RM 5.5 residential multi-unit district. Mark, Kupiec.
Mr. Chairman, Mark Kupiec, I'm an attorney with offices at 77 West Washington, represent the applicant. Applicant is also the owner of the subject property. This property is already developed with two old buildings, an old multi-unit building in the front and an old coach house building in the rear. The applicant was attempting to get a building permit to remodel the buildings, but ran into a problem because we could not find a permit record for all the existing apartments. So the plan is to rezone the property and pull a permit to remodel the building as is with the existing apartments, 5 in the front building, 2 in the rear building. We've been working on this for a while. Started off by meeting with Alderman Thompson. The Alderman wanted a community meeting. We had a little delay with the pandemic, but we did have a virtual community meeting, and no neighbors expressed any problems with it. And with that, we followed up with the Alderman and his staff, and I do believe you have his letter of support.
We do have a letter of support from Alderman Thompson.
And with that, we'd ask for your recommendation.
All right, so existing building,
Yes,
no permits. Basically keeping the same number of units, 7.
correct.
And I'll ask the proverbial question, is there parking?
Well, it's the existing parking, we're keeping the existing coach house. But these buildings, 100-year-old buildings, they've got the parking that they've always had on site, and we're maintaining existing parking spaces on the first floor of the coach house.
Well, you didn't answer my question.
We
How
do
many?
not have 7 spaces, no.
Well, how many do you have, Mark?
I believe we've got 3.
Okay, just for the record. Wanted
Yes.
to make sure. Okay. All righty. Questions, comments from the committee? Again, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Thompson. Can I get a motion to move do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass by Alderman Wagasback.
Alderman Wagasback makes that motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All right, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. Now we're on the top of page 10. Is that correct? Yeah. All right. Document number 20806 in the 19th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. This address is 9049 through 9059 Southwestern Avenue. Also 2346 through 2358 West 91st Street. Change request B12 Neighborhood Shopping District to a B31 Community Shopping District. We have Omar Yunus. I hope I got that right.
That's correct.
Right.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Omar Yunus from Yunus Law Group PC. I represent the applicant who is the contract purchaser of this property. This property has been vacant for several years and somewhat neglected, I believe, by the seller. So my client will be purchasing the property in order to use it as a motor vehicle repair shop. Right now, there's an existing 1-story building. There will be no dwelling units, no structural changes will be made to the building, and it will also provide for 15 on-site parking spaces. There will be a 3-bay or work area, 3 different work areas in the repair shop. There will be a shop lobby as well as a canopy, and building height will not change either. I believe you have letter recommendation from the Alderman's office. We have held we went in front of the 19th Ward Zoning Committee, and we've also met with members of the community recently, and we believe we have their support. And finally, we're requesting zoning change from a B1-2 to B3-1 to comply with the use table and standards of the B3-1 zoning district. That's it.
All right, Omar, we don't have a letter of support yet from the Alderman's office. We have him on a call. He's going to be calling me back in just about 5 to 7 minutes to make sure his due diligence is there. So I'm going to put this on hold for a few minutes, so bear with me, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to hold that item in 19 for a few minutes. We're now moving to the middle of page 10, document number 20828 in the 25th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 911 through 913 South Miller Street. Change request. RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse district to an RM5 residential multi-unit district. Jimena Castro. Jimena, oh my, I'm sorry. Okay, Jimena. Okay, anybody from Rolando Acosta's office? We think Jimena is on the call on this one, but we haven't found her yet.
I am here. Jimena was going to present this case. She is, I believe, on.
Text her and see. We don't have her on.
I could, if you want, Mr. Chairman, I could
All right.
proceed with this matter.
Okay. Why don't you proceed?
Good afternoon, Rolando Acosta here on behalf of the applicant. The property before you has an existing building on it with a total of 6 dwelling units on the property. It has space in the basement to add 2 additional units. I don't believe there's any parking on site, Mr. Chairman, but we are requesting that we change the zoning of this property in order to allow us to add 2 more units in the basement. This is not an ADU area. Otherwise, we would have proceeded in that fashion.
All right, well, that's pretty straightforward. I know we have a letter of support from Alderman Citro Lopez. Any comments, questions from committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman, let's.
Move to pass, Alderman Wagisback. Move to
Scott
Alderman
Wagisback.
Wagisback. Yep.
Alderman Wagisback moves to pass. Any objections to the motion? Hearing on the item is passed. All right. So I guess now we have Jimena on.
If you want, you can go back.
No,
Okay,
no.
it's okay.
Okay. Let's do Jimena has, you have a few. Okay. All right. So before I get further, I'm going to go back to the 19th Ward with Omar Yunus. So again, read it into the record. We held it. Document number 20806, 19th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th. Common address 9049 through 9059 Southwestern Avenue, 2346 through 58 West 91st Street. Change request B12 Neighborhood Shopping District to B31 Community District. So, Omar, are you back on the call?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't need to reestablish the narrative. We do have a letter of support from Alderman O'Shea. With that, on this application on 91st and Western, any questions from committee members?
Motion to pass from Alderman Wagisback.
Alderman Wagisback makes a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, this item is passed. All right, thank you, and thank you, Scott, for that.
Thank you.
Now we're on top of page 11. We are on document number 20824, 32nd Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address 2120 West Armitage Avenue. The change request B32 Community Shopping District to an RT4 residential 2-flat townhome and multi-unit district. Jimena Castro, and
Yes.
I mispronounced the first name. I should know better. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Jimena Castro. I apologize for my Halloween decorations in the back. I'm a zoning attorney at Acosta Esger, and I am the attorney for the matter before you. I apologize for the technical issues on the case before. Thank you to Rolando for covering. So the matter before you today is, as you mentioned, 2120 West Armitage. This is an existing 2-flat, is a legal non-conforming residential unit on the ground floor. And it's legal non-conforming because it is a B32 zoning district currently. So it is a grandfathered unit essentially. So we are rezoning it to an RT4, which fits the area in order to legalize that unit. And we have support from the Alderman's office as well, and I believe he is on the call.
We do have Alderman Wagasback on the call. Scott, you want to talk about West Armitage, please, 2120.
Yes, sir. We got the support of the community organization, and this is to simply legalize the ground floor legal non-conforming use for this property. It's been a residential use for quite some time, and this would just bring it into conformance for planning purposes. That's all, Chairman. I would just ask for the favorable consideration.
All right, any questions, comments? Hearing none, Alderman Pat Dowell moves to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to our motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you. Now we're in the middle of page 11.
Yes.
Document number 20821 T1 in the 36th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 4614 through 4620 West Armitage Avenue. And the change request, C11 Neighborhood Commercial District and M11 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District, all to a C11 Neighborhood Commercial District. Jimena Castro, please.
Yes. Hello again. This is Jimena Castro, the attorney for the matter before you today. This project is also very straightforward. We are trying to rezone the property. It actually has two different zonings. The property is sort of split into, you can imagine, part of the property is C11, the other part of the property is N11, and we're trying to rezone it to a C11 to just have the zoning be one zoning. And we are going to be building a one-story commercial building for office space, 8 parking spaces, and we have an aldermanic letter of support as well.
Do have, first of all, we have a substantive narrative plans, I believe.
Correct.
Okay, so Alderman Wagasback moves to accept the substantive narrative plans for the type 1 by the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the substantive narrative plans are in front of us. I think you've made your description. We have Sergio, I believe, from Alderman Villegas' office that would like to speak on this item. Sergio.
This is Sergio Navarrete from Alderman Villegas' office. He had to step away, but he does support this matter.
Okay, so we'll have that on file.
Chairman.
Who is that?
Chairman, this is Anna Robles in zoning.
Anna, long time no talk to.
Yes, I was just, I did not receive the substitute narrative and plan sets. So, looking through here, I don't have that.
Let's see.
That might have been my error.
So I don't know the changes.
Okay.
Oh, there were no changes. I apologize. That was my error. I marked it wrong.
Well, wait. So Nicole, would you read it? What are you saying?
I don't know. I have that.
I marked your agenda that there were substitute narrative and plans. I don't believe there are.
Okay, Jimena, let's go back to you on this thing. Okay, so the address on application 20821 T1.
Oh, 21.
20821 T1, 36th Ward. Jimena, our record.
I don't believe there is a narrative. There is a substitute.
Okay.
I believe I misspoke.
Well, we both misspoke, I think. So let's nullify that. And for Anna's edification, we do not have a substantive narrative and plan. So what I'm going to ask is, I'm going to ask if there's any questions from committee members in regards to this technical issue, and get another motion to accept this on its face without any substitute or narrative plans. So with that, I'm going to ask for the motion move to pass by the roll call that was used to determine quorum, and that be Alderman Villegas. I'm sorry, not Villegas. This is not here. Alderman Wagasback.
Yes.
moves do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that motion? Okay, so hearing no objection, this item is passed, period. All right, sorry about that.
Thank you.
All right, now we're on the bottom of page 11. Document number 20827, T1, 39th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. The common address, 3919 through 3925 West Cullum Avenue, also 4251 through 4257 North Harding Avenue, also 4271 North Elston Avenue. And this change request from C11 Neighborhood Commercial District to B33 Community Shopping District. Jimena Castro again.
Yes. Hi. Again, Jimena Castro, attorney for the applicant for this case. This is, again, a very simple rezoning as well. We're seeking to rezone the property from a C11 to a B33 in order to allow an addition on the upper one-story addition to the existing building that will contain residential use. And it will contain 2 dwelling units. We have the support from the community, from the neighbors. I spoke to the neighbors. I spoke to the alderman's office. We met with the alderwoman, I apologize. And we have support from both.
On the call, would you like to discuss Cullum with our committee, Sam? Alderwoman Nugent. Okay. Do we have a letter of support from Alderman Nugent? Okay. We might have some technical difficulties there in connecting with her, but we do have a letter of support from her on file. All right.
I believe you may also have a letter of support from the neighbors that the alderwoman was going to forward to your office.
Okay. Our committee staff says we have both. So with that.
Chairman, if there's no objection, I make a motion to pass.
All right.
Alderman Wagasback.
Alderman Wagasback makes a motion to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, this item is passed. All right, top of page 12. This document number is 20822. In the 45th Ward, ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 5016 West Lawrence Avenue. And the change request, C11 Neighborhood Commercial District to RT4 Residential 2-flat Townhome and Multi-Unit District. We have Jimena Castro again.
And Chairman, this case will be deferred to allow further conversation with the alderman, and he is aware.
Okay, so Alderman Wagasback makes the motion to defer this item at the request of Alderman Gardner. Any objections to Alderman Wagasback's motion to defer? No objections. This matter will be deferred. All right. Next, we are in the middle of page 12. Thank you, Jimena. All right, middle of page 12. Document number 20812, T1. In the 25th Ward, ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 2004 South Troop Street. The change request, RT4 Residential 2-flat Townhouse and Multi-Unit District to an RM5 Residential Multi-Unit District. And we have Joel Putman on this one.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, so the project seeks to demolish an existing 2-unit structure and build a 4-unit structure. There's currently no parking as the existing structure is in the rear of the unit. We worked with the alderman, his staff, and the community. I believe we sent in several letters from neighbors and I think Javier from the alderman's office is here if you don't have a letter of support on file.
We are going to hear from Javier from Alderman Lopez's, but I believe we have his support, but we'll hear from the Alderman. Javier, please.
Good morning, Chairman. This is Javier Yanez from the 25th Ward, simply in support of the Joel Putnam's project. No objections And so we move to approve it.
Great. All right. Any questions for the Alderman's office or the attorney?
Chairman, Alderman
Hearing
Waguespack
none.
makes a motion to
Alderman
motion to
Waguespack.
pass by the same roll call.
Okay, Alderman
Used to
Waguespack
establish quorum.
makes the motion to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, this item is passed. All right. Now we're on the bottom of page 12. Document number 20836 T1 in the 27th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 2021. Change request, C1 Neighborhood Commercial District to DX3 Downtown Mixed Use District. Tyler Manick. Tyler?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Tyler Manick of Shane Banks, Kenny and Schwartz. I'm here on behalf of Yuval Dagani, member of the applicant 215 North Green LLC, which owns the property at 215 North Green in the West Loop neighborhood. Prior to this hearing, we did submit substitute plans and narrative to the zoning department for incorporation.
All right, Alderman Kappelman moves to accept the substantive narrative and plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that motion? Hearing none, the substantive narrative and plans are in front of us. Continue, Tyler.
The property is currently improved with a 3-story mixed-use building. The applicant proposes to adaptively reuse this existing building by adding a floor and making facade improvements to the building. To do so, the applicant requests a zoning change from a C11 to a DX3 zoning district. After rezoning, the property will be improved with a mixed-use building, with the first 2 floors being built for commercial use, the 3rd floor for a dwelling unit, and the 4th floor for a dwelling unit, for a total of 2 dwelling units. There will be 2 indoor parking spaces provided with this application. Prior to this hearing, the applicant met with Alderman Burnett, the neighbors of West Loop, the West Central Association, and the West Loop Community Organization, who also were supportive of this project. And I believe Alderman Burnett is available here to express his support for this project.
We do. Alderman Burnett, would you like to talk about the application on North Green Street, please?
Mr. Chairman, as the councilor said, he did meet with the local community organizations. This is a minor change, considering
Walter, can you speak up a little bit? You're a little faded.
I said this is a minor change considering what's been going on in this community. So it's sort of a no-brainer for myself and all of the community organizations. We don't see a problem with it. So we ask for the committee support with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any questions for the Alderman or the applicant? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Mr. Chairman.
Alderwoman Dowell makes the motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, this item is passed with the substantive narrative and plans. Let's see, moving on to page 13. In the 27th Ward, document number 20835 T1. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Address, common address, 1002 North Drake Avenue. And the change request, RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to an RT4 Residential 2-flat Townhome and Multi-Unit District.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Tyler Manick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, again, my name is Tyler Manick of Shane Banks, Kenny and Schwartz. I'm here on behalf of Lago Dolce Properties LLC, which owns a property at 1002 North Drake. This application also has substitute plans and narrative that were submitted to the zoning department, and I request that they be incorporated into the ordinance.
So Alderman Pat Dowell moves to accept the substantive narrative plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the substitute narrative and plans are in front of us. Tyler?
The property is currently improved with a 2.5-story residential building containing 3 dwelling units. The owner recently discovered that the city is not recognizing the garden unit as a conforming unit. Based on research into the property's history, the applicant discovered that while city water records reflect 3 units existed here more than 50 years, the prior owner pulled a building permit to repair fire damage, and within that building permit, he only listed 2 dwelling units. And this happened about 15 years ago. Through this rezoning, the owner seeks to rezone this property from an RS3 to an RT4 zoning district in order to reestablish the garden unit in city records. No changes are being proposed to the existing building. There's currently 2 garage parking spaces here. Those 2 garage parking spaces will remain. This is outside the ADU pilot area. Prior to this hearing, the applicant met with Alderman Burnett and engaged in a community meeting with the West Humboldt neighbors who supported this rezoning. And I believe Alderman Burnett is here to confirm his support for this particular project.
Thank you, Tyler. Alderman Walter Burnett, please, on Drake Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Mr. Chairman, honestly, I think this rezoning will probably get fixed in the new ADU, but considering the fact that they're just trying to reuse the basement apartment, and we had a community meeting with the West Humboldt Park Development Councils, and no one in the community had a problem with it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alderman. Any questions for the Alderman or the applicant? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Wagasback makes the motion.
Pass. Yes, sir.
Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, this item is passed with the substantive narrative and plans. Thank you on that one, Tyler. We're moving on to the bottom of page 13. Document number 20838, T1, 33rd Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Change request, RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RT4 residential 2-flat townhome and multi-unit district. Tyler Manick on this one. Again.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Again, for the record, my name is Tyler Manick, Shane Banks, Kenny and Schwartz. I'm here on behalf of the owner of the property at 4132 North Francisco Progresso Properties, LLC. This project also, we submitted substitute plans and narrative to the zoning department.
All right. Well, let's get a motion by Alderman Pat Dowd to accept the substantive narrative and plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to our motion? Hearing none, the substantive narrative and plans are in front of us. Continue.
The property is currently improved with a 2.5-story residential building containing 6 dwelling units and 3 parking spaces. Like the project before, the applicant discovered that only 4 dwelling units were recognized at this property when it went in for building permits to do some renovation work at the property. The city is only recognizing 4 dwelling units. The applicant seeks to rezone this property to an RT4 zoning district, which is a conforming zoning district for the 6 existing dwelling units, so that they all become conforming. No changes are being proposed to the existing building other than adding 2 parking spaces that correspond to the 2 dwelling units we are seeking to establish here, for a total of 5 dwelling units at this property. Prior to this hearing, the applicant has worked with the Alderwoman and engaged in her 33rd Ward community process, which resulted in the Alderwoman giving her letter of support for this project, which should be on file with the committee. As a result, I respectfully request this committee's favorable recommendation to rezone 4132 to 34 North Francisco from an RS3 to a RT4 zoning district, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tyler. We do have a letter of support from Alderwoman Rodriguez Sanchez. Any questions for the applicant? Hearing none, get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Alderman Kappelman makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, this item is passed with the substantive narrative and plans. All right. Next, top of page 14. Document number 20809, 30th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address, 3746 through 3756 North Cicero Avenue. And the change request, B31 Community Shopping District to a C11 Neighborhood Commercial District. We have Jordan Matthews, I believe, on this application. Jordan?
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. Jordan Matches with the law firm of 1818. This is the client is Stolson Construction Company. They relocated their headquarters to 3750 North Cicero. They've been in Chicago since 1940. When they applied for a business license, they do use some storage of construction material. And we're just seeking the change to C1 to allow continuous use. There'll be no changes to the exterior of the building, parking, or any other parts of the building.
All right. Jordan, this is a relocation from within the city limits to now 3750 North Cicero?
They moved their headquarters within the city. The space has a large indoor space, and they store some construction equipment, which is not allowed under B31. So in order to get a business license, we need to change the zoning to C1.
Mm-hmm. All right, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Raboyes on this application. Any questions? Comments from committee members? If not, can I get a motion to move do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderwoman Hadden.
Alderwoman Hadden makes the motion. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All right, now we're moving to middle of page 14, document number 20830 T1 in the 33rd Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address 2913 through 2915 West Belmont Avenue. Change request. B31 Community Shopping District to B23 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. Fred Augustine.
Good afternoon, Chairman. I am Fred Augustine, the attorney on this matter here on behalf of the applicant. Applicant is the contract purchaser of the property at 2913 to 15 West Belmont. Property contains 6,000 square feet and it's currently approved with a single family residence and a garage. We are here seeking rezoning from current B31 district to a B2-3 district. Applicant would like to redevelop the property with a new 4-story mixed-use building containing 2 commercial spaces at grade, 6 units above, and 6 on-site parking spaces. Mr. Chairman, this is a type 1. I did submit drawings and a narrative. Nothing's changed really from what I originally submitted, but I just at least want to recognize that, I did submit narrative and plans to the committee.
But there are no changes.
No changes.
So yeah, we identified as a T1, so I think we're good. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And are you finished with your?
No, let me just finish up real quick. So we have worked with Alderwoman Rodriguez on this matter. We worked extensively with the Avondale Neighborhood Association, as well as we had a community group and all in support. You should have a letter of support on file from the Alderwoman. So I'm here to answer any questions the committee may have.
We do have a letter of support from Alderwoman Rodriguez Sanchez on file. Any questions, comments? Right, I just have an interesting knowing Belmont Avenue fairly well. So it was an old frame, probably an old frame house on a double lot.
Yeah, so double lot. What I think what happened is if you know the property, the house is set back all the way to the rear, and as well as the garage. So there's a big front yard. So what I suspect at one point there was a front building, so it was a multi-improvement building. The front building, I'm not sure when it happened, but probably was demolished at some point, and the single family remained in the rear for many years.
Yeah. Well, and then there is no commercial on the ground floor, correct? Is that what I'm?
We are proposing commercial.
Oh, you are? Okay. Why did I not see that? Oh, because it's optional under the B23.
Yeah.
Okay. So we do have a letter of support from Rodriguez Sanchez. Any questions, comments, committee members? If not, can I get a motion to move do pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved, Alderwoman Hadden.
Alderwoman Hadden makes the motion. Any objection to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All right, bottom page 14, document number 20831 in the 50th ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th and 21. Common address 6334 through 6356 North Whipple Avenue. Also 3035 through 3047 West Devon Avenue. Change request, B32 Community Shopping District and RT4 Residential 2-flat Townhome and Multi-Unit District. All to a B32 Community Shopping District. Fred Augustine.
Yep. Good afternoon, Chairman. I'm also the attorney on this matter. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. Applicant owns the property at 6334 to 56 North Whipple, also known as 3035 to 47 West Devon. Property contains around 33,000 square feet. It's currently improved with a one-story high school, as well as 3 residential buildings. We are here seeking to rezone the property. As you mentioned earlier, it does have a split zoning district. A portion of the property is zoned RT4, another portion is zoned B32. We are rezoning it so that the entire property is in the B32 district. The applicant does plan to keep the one-story school building, but demolish the 3 residential buildings. And what they're proposing is to build a 2-story addition to the school, as well as locating a religious assembly use / synagogue within the current existing building. The school is a private Jewish all-girls high school known as the Lubavitch Girls High School. It's been around for 30 years. We have worked with Alderwoman Silverstein on this matter. We had a community meeting on it. All were in support, and I believe the alderman's in support as well. I believe her office sent over a letter to your office.
Unmute me. We do have a letter of support from Alderwoman Silverstein on this item. All right, are you finished, Fred? Yep.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm here to answer your question.
I'll ask the proverbial question. It's obviously she's in support of this. It's on Devon. How many students at this in faculty?
120 female students.
And then there is sufficient parking around there?
Yeah, and we're actually with this new project, currently there's really no on-site parking. So with this new project, we are establishing 14 parking spots. The girls are not allowed to drive, so the students don't drive to school. So it's purely for school's purposes, it's only for employees.
Faculty and staff, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All righty. Well, we do have a letter of support from Alderwoman Silverstein. Do I have any questions, comments from the committee? If not, can I get a motion to move due pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Alderman Wagasback.
Alderman Wagasback makes that motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Thank you, Fred. I think we're done with you, right? Okay.
Yep. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, top of page 15. Let's see. Document number 20833 T1 43rd Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. The change request, RT4 residential 2-flat town home and multi-unit district to an RM5 residential multi-unit district. Paul Kolpak. Paul?
Yes, good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Colleen Doherty from Kolpak Law Group on behalf of the applicant, DTL-YKVA LLC. The subject property, 650 West Wrightwood, is currently improved with a 2-story, 2-dwelling unit property. The applicant is seeking an amendment from the current RT4 to an RM5 in order to accommodate 2 additional floors, adding 1 additional dwelling unit. So the 2 additional floors would be duplexed. There would also be an additional parking space added for the additional unit. This is a type 1 application. We have worked extensively with the Alderwoman's office, Alderwoman Smith, as well as the Park West Community Association and the Chicago Historic Preservation Commission. We do have a letter of support from Alderwoman Smith, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the committee may have.
I am pretty familiar with this block. Do we have someone from 43rd Ward, Alderwoman Smith or staff? Alderman Michelle Smith. Michelle,
Yes, thank you very much.
650 West Wrightwood, please.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we're in support of this. This is actually a block that is almost entirely R5. And the change of zoning in this neighborhood takes place in the couple of blocks adjoining this. So this request is really very reasonable and very consistent with the other zoning in this immediate area. Plus, in contrast to other situations where a building like this would have been torn down and turned into a modern 3-flat, the Varanuski family has very much wanted to preserve the existing building. So this is supported by our neighborhood groups. They've consulted with the Landmark Commission, and we're actually quite happy with this outcome. And ask for the support of the committee in allowing this upzoning to occur.
Alderwoman, how many units in this building? 3?
I believe it's going to, I think let's ask council to be sure. I believe it's only going to be 2.
And parking?
There's parking in the alley, isn't that right? Council? I'm sorry, I just stepped in from another meeting, so.
All right, the property is currently 2 units. It will become 3. So the additional 2 stories will accommodate a 3rd unit, so it'll be 3 total. And then yes, there will be no additional parking space added for 3 parking spaces for 3 units.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is an owner occupied unit. I think they're going to take the top, whatever. Yeah. Well, Alderwoman Smith, you and I know this block very well.
Yes.
This is one of the smallest buildings on that block, and it's a handsome building, and kudos to the applicant and your office for preserving this building. So
yeah.
Any questions? Any questions, comments? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass by Alderman Wagisback.
Alderman Wagisback makes that motion. Any objection to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. All right, thank you very much. Now we're moving on.
Chairman.
Yep, bottom of page 15. Document number 20816, 47th Ward. Ordinance was referred on September 14th of 21. Common address is 4613 North Damon Avenue. The change request from an RS3 residential single unit detached house district to a B2.15 neighborhood mixed use district. We have Megan Wade on this call.
Hello, my name is Megan Wade, and my husband David Schroeder and I are the owners of 4613 North Damon. It's a 2-story, 4-unit building that has a storefront, a commercial storefront with 1 apartment above, and then 2 apartments in the rear, and a 3-car garage. We purchased the building in late July with the intent to use the storefront as an office for our 2 businesses. I'm a landscape architect, and my husband is an architect. Late in the purchasing, and then of course we're going to rent the other, there's 3 other units which we plan on just renting, continuing to rent to the existing tenants. Late in the purchasing process, we learned that the zoning department no longer recognizes the storefront as a unit because the previous owner rented it out as a residential unit for the past 20 months. And in doing so, all non-conforming rights to use the storefront for commercial purposes were lost. Therefore, we are proposing to rezone the building to B2-1.5, which is the most restrictive option that allows the building to be in compliance with in its current state. We're not proposing any changes to the building, although we do plan to renovate the storefront facade. The local Chamber of Commerce's and all of the adjacent neighbors are in support of the change. And we are thankful that Alderman Martin also sent his letter of support in. And we are available for any questions that you have.
Thank you, Megan. We do have a letter of support from Alderman Martin. Any questions, comments from committee members? Hearing none, Alderman Wagisback makes a motion to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed. Megan, Also very familiar with this area of Damon, so it's going to be a nice rehab of the existing building. So good luck to you.
Thank you. We look
All
forward.
right. Staying in the 47th Ward, top of page 16, document number 20815 T1, 47th Ward, common address 1744 through 1754 West Addison Street, also known as 3601 through 3613 North Ravenswood. The change request from a C12 neighborhood commercial district and RS3 residential single unit detached house district, all to a B3 free community shopping district. Andrew Scott.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Andrew Scott here on behalf of the petitioner 3601 North Ravenswood LLC. Mr. Chairman, you did sum up the request to rezone very accurately. It's proposing to rezone the subject property at the northeast corner of Addison and Ravenswood from the current zoning classification of C12 and RS3 to a B33 type 1. This is actually a TOD project. We're located within several hundred feet of the Addison Brown Line stop. And so that's the nature of the development. The site's currently improved with single-story commercial/retail spaces and two flat units. And the proposal is to demolish the existing improvements and do a mixed-use development with 52 dwelling units, 2 live-work units on the ground floor, 12 parking spaces, and approximately 5,500 square feet of retail. And at this point, Mr. Chairman, we did submit a substitute narrative and plans to staff, and I'd like those incorporated into the record.
So Alderman Kappelman moves to accept the substantive narrative and plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the substantive narrative and plans are in front of us. You can continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to follow on, we have had a very robust community process over the past several months. We've appeared before the Alderman Zoning Advisory Committee. We've had a Zoom community meeting where we had over 60 participants. We met with the Lakeview Roscoe Chamber of Commerce on several occasions. We have presented to the West Lakeview neighbors, and we've also met with our immediate neighbors to address all the concerns that were raised. And so with all of that effort, we're here today to ask for the favorable support. I believe you should have a letter of support and also commitment letter on behalf of the developer on file with your office. And I think I saw Alderman Martin on a little while ago, but I'm available to answer any questions.
All right. We do have Alderman Martin on the call. Alderman Martin, would you like to talk about Ravenswood Addison, please?
Yeah, briefly, and thank you, Chairman. A few things that I would note, echoing what Mr. Scott said about the community process. I think they've done a very strong job in terms of reaching out to the immediate neighbors, to the most active nearby neighborhood association, the Roscoe Village neighbors who support the project, working very closely as well with the Lakeview Roscoe Village Chamber of Commerce to incorporate a lot of their edits or their suggested edits, especially when it concerned commercial. And then finally working under the new ARO with the Department of Housing, whereby there will be 7 2-bedroom units that will all be located on site, which I think is terrific and a reflection of what we've heard consistently from folks in West Lakeview and North Center, which is more affordably priced family-sized units.
All right, questions for the Alderman, comments? Matt, I've got a couple of questions on this. The existing plot of land has 2 single resident homes and some kind of commercial building on it? I'm not that familiar.
It's a commercial strip. Many of the businesses have since closed, and there's
on the Ravenswood side.
Yeah, and then on Addison, I think 2 either single family homes and or 2 flats, but Mr. Scott might be able to speak more to those.
All right, well, it is what it is. You're building a fairly large building, transit-oriented development. Is commercial going to be on the ground floor?
That's correct.
That's correct, yes.
Oh, good. Okay, because I thought I heard live work units, but maybe that was a different application.
There are going to be live work units.
Okay. But
we'll have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a special use for those.
Okay. And then on the new ARO, do the math here. You have 52 units. 7 2-bedrooms. Does that fully comply with this based on the size of the unit?
So I think Alderman Martin may have understated our commitment. We have in fact agreed to 7 2-bedrooms, 1 1-bedroom, and we're going to buy out the balance 1.4.
1.4 what, million?
No, I'm sorry, 1.4. So that gets you to, so we would have an obligation of 10, with 52 units, that gets you to 10.4. And you would round down on the number.
Okay, 10.4 units, okay.
Correct. So you round down in terms of the hard units that you have to provide, but you still have to buy out the 0.4.
Okay, well, wait a second. You got 10 units required. 10 units are required, except this 0.4, let's forget the 0.4 for a second. 7 2-bedrooms and 1 1-bedroom.
That's correct.
And then tell me what the remaining part is again?
The buying out of the remaining 1.
How about 2?
3, I'm sorry.
Well, 2, no, 7 and 1 is 8.
You're absolutely right. Our numbers are off by 1. 7. You're right. We're off by 1.
All right, so you'd have to buy out 1.4 units. Do we have anybody on the department on this one? Or they're at the White Sox game already?
Yes.
All right, Alderman Martin. Matt?
Yes.
You'll double check on all this.
We worked very closely with Ricardo Lopez and
Okay.
DOH, and we'll follow up to ensure that, especially given the fact that there are more 2-bedroom units than what would typically be concerning here, that the math, because I understand that there's additional credit that's provided when you do more family-sized units than what would typically be required given the unit mix. So we'll follow up with him and make sure that.
That's exactly it, Mr. Chairman. I apologize. Alderman, you're correct. Alderman Martin, you're correct. Because the mix would have the typical mix would have required 5-bedroom units. Let's just say we weren't going to do, we just did the straight based on the percentage of the types of units that we had in the building. The new ARO allows you to get a 1.25 credit for a 2-bedroom unit for every, and relative to a 1-bedroom unit. So essentially what we did is instead of providing 5 1-bedrooms, which would have been the straight application, we're doing 4 2-bedrooms. So that takes out the 5th 1-bedroom.
Okay, this is a zoning.
The math all works. We
All right,
went through this extensively.
So it's a new ordinance. We're all trying to navigate it and comply. Just interesting questions. We'll probably have more of these as we have more development under the new ARO. So as long as the alderman's okay with, department's okay with it, which I believe we're okay, and we have his letter of support. That's all my questions and comments.
Apologies for the confusion.
Any other committee members want to chime in? Or if not, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Alderman Wagasback.
No. All right, the motion, motion was moved by Alderman Wagasback. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, the item is passed with the substantive narrative and plans. All right, we're going to stay in the 47th Ward, and we are going to page 19. Document number 20757 T1 in the 47th Ward again. Ordinance was referred on June 23rd of 21. Common address is 2250 through 2258 West Irving Park Road. And the change request from a B23 neighborhood mixed-use district and a B11 neighborhood shopping district, all to a B33 community shopping district. And we have Katrina McGuire on this one.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. It's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. Again, yes, Katrina McGuire from Thompson Coburn, for the record here on behalf of the applicant Landrosh Holdings LLC. This is a type 1 application as noted, and there was a substitute set of plans and ordinance that was submitted some time ago. We would just ask that that substitute ordinance and narrative be incorporated herein.
Alderman Marie Hadden moves to accept the substantive narrative and plans for the type 1 application by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the substantive narrative and plans are in front of us. Continue, Katrina.
Thank you. This is a 5-story building with 39 units proposed on the 2nd through the 5th floors. Commercial uses on the ground floor, 19 parking spaces, as well as 42 bicycle parking spaces. This is a project that has been through several iterations, and major modifications that were made. Several meetings, including with North Center Chamber of Commerce and the North Center Neighborhood Association, both organizations which do support the project. I know that Alderman Martin is here, and we do enjoy his support as well. So with that, I would be happy to turn this over to Alderman Martin.
Okay, Alderman Martin, on the Irving Park application, please.
Yeah, I'll say two or three things. One, this is the site, as some members may recall, the old Chicago Joe's restaurant, which closed some number of months ago. When my office, as well as the Chamber of Commerce, did separate visioning studies along the corridor and the neighborhood more generally, the desire to have restaurants, and if possible, family-friendly restaurants, was brought up repeatedly. So we have a commitment to have this be black iron ready, and talks are underway with a potential restaurateur. Also happy that the 8 affordable units will all be located on site. 8 of the 39, and then the fact that through different iterations, we went from what was initially 5 2-bedroom units to 14 2-bedroom units, again to accommodate the fact that many families are moving into the North Center community. So I would appreciate the committee's favorable consideration.
All right. Thank you, Matt. I'm sorry, maybe I wasn't listening. Is this TOD?
It is with Western Avenue nearby.
Okay, great. And the number of parking spaces?
19.
19. Okay. Katrina, it's been a long day. I'm sorry. I know you said that, I think, in your narrative. All right. Questions, comments from committee members? If not, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Kappelman makes that motion. Move to pass. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed.
Thank you.
As with the substantive narrative and plan.
Thank you.
All right. I think, okay, now we're moving back. We're done with 47th Ward, I believe. We're in the bottom of page 16. Document number 20783 in the 2nd Ward. Ordinance was referred on July 21st of 21. Common address is 1546 through 1556 North Clark Street, 100 through 129 West North Avenue, and 1555 through 1565 North LaSalle Street. The change request: residential business plan development number 1272 to residential business plan development number 1272 as amended. Jack George. Mr. George? You need to unmute, Jack.
Can you hear me?
We can't hear you now.
You can hear me or not? You can't.
We can hear you loud and clear, Jack.
Oh, great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry for the problem. My name is Jack George. I'm an attorney with offices at 71 South Wacker. I'm here this afternoon on behalf of the applicant, which is 1550 North Clark Street, LLC. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, this property is at 1550 North Clark Street. There are 2 sub-areas, sub-area A and sub-area B. This was previously approved as a PD for a residential condominium project, which is now up and built. What we're seeking to do today is to amend plan development number 1272 to permit a veterinarian office on the first floor. As you can see on the rendering up there, the building that's right on the corner there is the new building that was put up. What we're seeking to do is just to have the veterinarian office on the first floor. When I did this PD, originally, we didn't have that as a permitted use. That's now a use that we need to have done. So all we're seeking by this amendment is to have that permitted. And I would ask at this time, Mr. Chairman, this was before the Plan Commission on September the 16th. And I would ask that the report of proceedings and exhibits that were part of the proceedings before the Plan Commission be incorporated into and made as a part of the proceedings before you today.
All right,
I'm going to make a motion to incorporate those documents.
Alderman Wagasback makes a motion to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the records are incorporated. Continue.
This is in Alderman Hopkins' ward. He, as I understand it, he's in support of this project. That's what he did said when we were before the Plan Commission. And so I would ask for a favorable recommendation on this matter, and I stand ready to answer any questions that any of you might have concerning the project.
Any questions, comments, committee members? Brian Hopkins, Alderman Hopkins, want to chime in on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only concern raised by the community was that this facility would potentially board animals, and that will not happen. There will be no boarding of dogs or cats or any other animals. This is for treatment of animals who are ill or injured only. So it's not a boarding facility. It's a veterinary treatment facility. And there's a lot of dogs and cats in Sandburg Village. So this is needed, and it's a most welcome use from most of the residents that we talk to. So with no objection, I would move to pass.
Thank you, Brian. Busy corner. I know a lot of people are walking, but be interesting to see the loading and unloading on this facility. There's parking on this one too, or no?
There is parking, but it's not part of this. We don't have any additional parking for this veterinarian use.
That's kitty corner from the History Museum, correct? Yeah.
That's correct. That's correct, Alderman. And Alderman Hopkins is correct. We are not going to have any overnight boarding services allowed. This is only for sick animals, and we're making no other changes to sub-area A under this amendment.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, there's a pre-existing loading zone, and there is metered parking down on Clark Street and also on North.
Great. All righty. Well, Mr. George, you were the attorney on this original PD, correct?
Yes, I am. I was the one. Yeah.
Well, this one will go a lot smoother than the original. I think I was on Plan Commission. I think I've entertained this corner. Used to be, as my staff tells me, used to be a famous little restaurant on that corner.
You're
right.
right.
I think it was a one-story building, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right. You remember, good memory. Yeah.
All righty, and of course we all missed the Village Theater, right? That's the one next to it.
Yeah, we all do. That's right.
Yep. All right. Any other comments, questions? If not, can I get a motion to move to pass by the roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass.
Alderman Hopkins moves to pass on this item. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the item is passed as revised.
Thanks very much.
All right, top of page 17, document number 20131 in the 11th Ward. Ordinance was referred on July 24th of 19. Common address is 505 through 507 West Root Street. And the change request, RS3, Residential Single Unit Detached House District, to a C1-1.5 Neighborhood Commercial District. Rich Toth is on the call, I believe. Yeah. All right, Mr. Toth, you want to unmute or try to get on the call, please?
Sorry about that. Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Chairman Tunney, members of the Zoning Committee. My name is Richard Toth. I'm an attorney appearing on behalf of the applicant and property owner, Bracken Management, Inc., regarding an application number, as you said, 20131, which does seek a zoning change from RS3 to C1-1.5. The property is a one-story building, takes up about half the lot. It had historically been used for commercial purposes. It was historically used as a small trucking company site. The rezoning will facilitate some planned improvements, and the property is intended to host small events such as fundraisers, charitable events, and meetings. Alderman Thompson had hosted a community meeting to allow the applicant to present the project. As a result, Alderman Thompson was kind enough to provide a letter of support for the project. I believe and hope that you have a copy of that letter of support. We will be following up to seek separate approvals from the ZBA related to parking and other licensing. Otherwise, subject to the approval of the zoning change, use and density parameters will comply with the Chicago zoning ordinance, and we would request your favorable recommendation.
A letter of support from Alderman Thompson. Just a quick question. Since this was applied in July of 19, was there a lot of community process on this or what?
There was in part, there was some issues to resolve with the neighbors, but in part there was some working on getting offsite parking location, which has been done. And it just took the slow boat. I'll say maybe COVID was a part of that as well.
Okay, but the total, according to my application, 8 parking spaces?
So the site itself could fit about 8. We're probably going to shift that offsite. There's a site about 2 blocks away at 4001 South Normal. It's got over 50 parking spaces. It's used during the daytime. This particular venue will be more of an evening event. So that site will be used again, over 50 parking spaces.
All right, just for clarification. Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right, Alderman Haddon makes a motion, move to pass by the roll call, the established quorum. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, bottom of page 17. Document number 20702, 28th Ward, ordinance was referred on May 26th of 21. Common addresses, 1401 through 1555 West Congress Parkway, 500 through 532 South Loomis Avenue, 1400 through 1554 West Harrison Street, and 501 through 531 South Ashland. The change request, institutional plan development number 168 is amended to C35 Commercial Manufacturing and Employment District, then to institutional plan development number 168 as amended. Carol Stubblefield, please, on this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, Carol Stubblefield with Neil and Leroy, offices at 20 South Clark, here on behalf of the applicant, Rush University Medical Center. With me on the call today to answer any questions are members from the Rush development team, our project architects, and our traffic consultant. The applicant is proposing to amend PD 168 to include hospital as a permitted use to facilitate the development of an acute care hospital for inpatient physical rehab services. The amendment will also seek to rezone the entire plan development to an underlying C35 to permit high-rise signage on the adjacent Rubschlager ambulatory building. That was the prior PD amendment that is currently under construction now. This project was heard and unanimously approved at the September 16, 2021 Chicago Plan Commission. And we do ask that the findings and conclusions of the Chicago Plan Commission and all documents given to the Department of Planning and Development be adopted into today's record.
Alderman Wagasback moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that? Hearing none, the records are incorporated. Continue, Carol.
All right, thank you so much. The project is located in the near west side community area and is bounded by Congress Parkway, Ashland Avenue, Harrison Street, and Lomas Street. The new hospital will be 5 stories and approximately 93 feet to the top of the penthouse. It will be approximately 135,000 square feet, including the mechanical penthouse space, and have 70 surface parking spaces. Rush has complied with all notice requirements and obtained the required approvals from CDOT, Fire, and MOPD. The project will comply with the city's sustainability policy and stormwater management. The applicant also plans to meet the city's goal for inclusion and diversity. After approval, construction is anticipated to start in the first quarter of 2022 and be completed in the second quarter of 2023. The project will create approximately 1,000 temporary construction jobs, and once completed and operational, it will add approximately 320 permanent jobs. The development team has presented the project to the community and has the support of Alderman Irvin, who I believe was in attendance earlier today at committee. We do have his support for this amendment and the project, and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Carol, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Irvin on this project. Obviously, it's gone through Plan Commission. The one thing that you mentioned that I would like to identify, where is this roof signage? Is it going to be on this building itself?
No,
also?
this is the high-rise signage. This is not first. I don't think this new building would qualify as a high-rise building for high-rise signage. So that high-rise signage would go on the new ambulatory building, the Rubschlager building that is to the west of this. So if we can, if you stop here and see the Rubschlager building on that southwest corner of the site, and that's where the high-rise signage would go there.
So the infamous new building, that oddly shaped, but a very attractive building, that's where you're going to put signage on.
Correct.
All right. I don't have any other, but if you're doing what is it? You're doing a C35, you said in order to permit signage, but this is the only intended signage, even though the whole PD is 3.5, the only signage would be on this marquee building that's already built?
It's under construction right now, correct? Because high-rise signage, I don't have the definition in front of me, but it's a certain elevation, it's a certain height of a building that renders you high-rise signage. Our building being 93 feet, I don't think triggers that. It is not our expectation to request high-rise signage for the new acute care facility.
Okay, I mean, there's different zoning heights and building heights. You know, I believe high-rise, I don't know what that number would be, but yeah. All right. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, can I get a motion moved to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum? Alderman Wagisback makes the motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the items, this item is passed as revised.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the top of page 18, document number 20574 in the 40th Ward, ordinance was referred on December 16th of 2020. These addresses, common addresses, starting with 2645 through 2750. I'm sorry, 2645 through 2759 West Foster, 2716 through 2760 West Foster, 2801 through 2859 West Foster, 2826 through 2836 West Foster, 5101 through 5159 North Francisco, 5100 through 5158 North California Avenue, 2724 through 2758 West Winona Avenue, 2739 through 2759 West Winona Avenue, 2800 through 2858 West Winona Avenue, and 2801 through 2851, I would assume, West Winona Avenue. The change request, RS3 residential single unit detached house district to C15 neighborhood commercial district and C15 neighborhood commercial district to residential institutional plan development number 92 as amended and designated as sub area B and designating as sub area A a portion of residential institution plan development number 92 found in map 13-1. We better have some slides on this. I don't know what I just wrote into the record here. All right, so we have Graham Grady on this.
Good afternoon, Chairman Tunney. Can you hear me?
We can.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the Committee on Zoning. My name is Graham Grady, and along with my colleague Sylvia Mikas, it's our pleasure to represent Swedish Covenant Hospital, doing business as Swedish Hospital, with regard to this application. This project received the favorable recommendation of the Chicago Plan Commission at its hearing on September 16th. I request that the record and exhibits of that matter be incorporated into the record of this proceeding today, Mr. Chairman.
Hopkins moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the records are incorporated. Continue.
Thank you very much. Available to answer questions today are Marcia Jimenez, the Director of Government Affairs at Swedish, and David Daster of Jensen and Halstead, the project architect. First, we'd like to thank Alderman Vasquez and his staff for his leadership in a highly effective community meeting early on in the process for this important community asset that we're asking the committee to review and approve today. We'd also like to thank staff of the Department of Planning and Development and CDOT and other agencies as well. In particular, we'd like to thank First Deputy Commissioner Claudia Harasmi of the Department of Planning and Development, who actually made a site visit to this location and who also provided information and insight on the design of the building that you will see. And we'd like to thank Commissioner and others. If we could take a look here, this is an amendment to Plan Development 92, which is the area shaded in white. We propose to add the area shaded in orange, which is on the north side of Foster Avenue, in order to build a new 7-story medical office building, which will be a tremendous addition to the Swedish Hospital campus. The orange square that you see there is currently zoned RS3. It is our intention to rezone that square to C15 and to also rezone the entire white shaded area of PD 92 also to C1-5. In addition, we then seek to create 2 sub-areas. Sub-area A, which will be the white area, which is the existing Swedish campus, and then sub-area B for the new building, which is shown in the orange square. If we can go to the next slide, please. This shows the terrific rendering, the beautiful architecture, the great design of this building, which is totally in keeping with the very recent Foster Medical Pavilion, which you can see in the upper right-hand corner in the distance. The 2 buildings complement each other very well and signify the advanced architectural design that Swedish is incorporating into its campus. As I mentioned, this is a 7-story medical office building, which will contain approximately 4,200 square feet of medical office space, 32 interior parking spaces on the floors 2 and 3, a medical outpatient facility on floors 4 through 7, and approximately 9,000 square foot green roof atop the building. Here you can see the site plan as well as the interior layout. There will be bike racks both on the inside of the building for staff and customers and patients rather, as well as a few bike racks along the street. The building, of course, is fully accessible, has been reviewed by MOPD, fire prevention, stormwater, all the other agencies that get us to this point. We have a loading area off of the alley, and this location is extremely well served by public transit. There are buses on both Foster as well as California. If we can go to the next slide. Here you can see the building to the left in the foreground on the north side of Foster, and I mentioned the existing Foster Medical Pavilion, which is up and to the right. The project has been enhanced by comments from the Department of Planning and Development. We have relocated the entrance a little bit further away from the driveway intake and ingress and egress, and we've made other enhancements to the facade of the building. In addition, as a part of our discussions with the Department of Planning and Development, Swedish will engage in a massive tree planting program in which they will plant on their campus 20 new trees each year for each of the next 3 years, adding a total of 60 trees to this already Sylvan and Bucolic Healthcare Campus. We are happy to answer any questions that you may have. I know many of you are familiar with the Swedish Covenant Hospital campus. Swedish, as you may know, has provided tremendous aid to the city throughout the COVID crisis, with providing testing and vaccinations, healthcare information to many, many Chicago residents, including many residents who are able to pay for healthcare services. Swedish has a tremendous record of providing medical care services to the community, not just those who live in the immediate vicinity, but throughout Chicagoland. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Again, we'd like to thank Alderman Vasquez and all the city agencies that have gotten us to this point on this project.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you. Alderman Vasquez has put his support letter. This went to Plan Commission. Right. I think obviously it's a great hospital institution, and you know, they've got a great Miss Jimenez. You know, I want to give her a shout out. She's been a former city employee, and you know, she's done really good work with the hospital. So, and continues to advise us on all things Swedish, which, you know, I have a soft spot for that to begin with. So, that being said, questions, comments from committee members? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
Move to pass, Alderman Wagisback.
Alderman Wagisback makes that motion. Any objections to his motion? Hearing none, the records, this is passed as revised, correct? Okay.
Thank you,
Great.
Chairman Tunney and members of the committee. We're grateful to you for your service to Chicago.
All right, thank you, Graham. And we are last item, correct,
Yes,
staff?
last item.
Okay. And the Sox are up 1-0,
Yes.
am I understanding?
David should hit a home run.
All right.
Kusak's happy.
Yeah. All right. Bottom of page 18, document number 20642 in the first ward. Ordinance was referred on March 24th of 21. Common address is 1535 North Maplewood. And the change request, RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RM 4.5 residential multi-unit district. Gerald McCarthy.
Oh, good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Gerald McCarthy. I'm an attorney with offices located at 601 South California. I'm here on behalf of the applicant 1435 North Maplewood Apartment LLC.
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Is it 1535 or 1435?
15, did I say 14?
I believe so, but
Okay, 1535. The property located at 1535 North Maplewood Avenue. As stated, the applicant is proposing to convert an existing two-story with a basement unit and a unit on top. Initially, we had filed an application to change the zoning from R3 to RM 5.4, but at the request of the alderman, we're asking to amend this to a type 1 map amendment with plans.
so you're asking this application to go from 20642 to 20642T, meaning type
No, no.
1,
Yes.
T1.
And
All right.
I have this point.
All right. Department, Ana Robles, we're good with
Yes,
taking a
Chairman.
motion on that, as I stated?
Yes, Chairman, I did receive narrative and plans to amend the original to a type 1.
Okay.
This is not a amendment to the ordinance, just the type 1.
All right. Okay. So can I get a motion, move to pass as a type 1 by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum?
So moved by Alderman Cardona.
Alderman Cardona makes the motion. Any objection to the motion? Hearing none, now we have what we call 20642 T1.
So such plans would include a floor area ratio of 1.374. The building size is 4,335 square feet. Density is at 4 units at 78.5 square feet. There will be 3 off-street parking spaces. Setbacks, front yard 7.33 to stairs, side yard 0, north side 2.654, with a rear yard of 29.416. Building height would be 41 feet to top of parapet. Upon approval, we will submit a ZBA application to deal with the setback and parking variations. Alderman Laspada's office has suggested to us that he and the community have no objections. We also would like to thank Alderman Laspada and this committee for allowing us to present this. And at this time, I will entertain any questions.
Right. Gerald, we do have a letter of support based on the type 1 application from Alderman Laspada. And given your narrative, I'm sure it reflects with the department what you just said about FAR height and such. That being said, I think we're having any comments or questions from committee members. Hearing none, can I get a motion to move to pass by the same?
Chairman.
That motion was made by Alderman Pat Dowell to move to pass by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to her motion? Hearing none, the item is passed as amended to a type 1. And I believe my staff is going to Sox Park.
As much as I would love to adjourn, we have one housekeeping
I'll be,
matter.
oh, we have housekeeping. Oh,
Oh,
my.
I know.
What are we
never
doing?
incorporated the record for the medical district.
All right, well, we got one. How did you catch that?
I've been thinking about it the whole meeting.
Yeah, right. Okay, all right, we got one clerical correction to do, and this is on page 1 on the Illinois Medical District, which was application A8728, Illinois Medical District with those boundaries. We did not incorporate the plans from the Plan Commission.
Correct.
So we need to go back to that, and I read it into the record. So I need a motion to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Again, this is the Illinois Medical District on Ashland, Paulina, Damon, and such. Can I get a
moved,
motion?
Chairman.
All right,
Alderman
that's
Wagasback.
Alderman Wagasback moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that motion? All right, with that, then let's get a second motion just to approve that application.
Alderman Cardona, second.
Okay, so Alderman Cardona moves to pass this item by the same roll call that was used to determine quorum. Any objections to that? None. Okay, so this item is passed as revised. And now I can entertain a motion to adjourn and go Sox, but I need a motion. Alderman Cardona makes that motion. Any opposed to his motion?
For the
No,
Sox
I
or
do
the
not,
motion?
and go Sox.
All right, hearing no objections, let's go Sox, and this meeting is adjourned. Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Have a good afternoon, Chairman.
Thank you.
All right.